The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path.
What's up, everybody?
That freedom fits in the palm of
Hey, I got the stickers, B-dubs. Thank you much, man. Appreciate it.
The only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards.
How you doing, Anthony?
Now, when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep.
How will I hear myself?
Build Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a personal.
You know what? You sent me that link, and I did not log in, so I'll find you, bud.
Or Ford Pass rewards for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via.
I was on the bike all day Saturday.
From the final phase electric stages.
All right, here we go.
First step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595. 95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. I also would like to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. They have an advanced handgun course coming up on the 31st from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Just $200. This is a course for people who are already somewhat advanced and want to take their shooting to the next level. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information, and make sure you get signed up quick on that one, okay, because time's running out. All right, what do we have here? A lawsuit has been filed over the shooting last year by a South Bend police officer. This story is at 953mnc.com. A man who was badly injured last year after being shot by a South Bend police officer claims in a lawsuit that he was the victim of excessive force. The lawsuit is filed in the county court by 28-year-old Terrence Eppinger. He suffered an unspecified permanent disability from the March 2018 shooting by Officer Samuel Chaput. Is that how you say it? South Bend also faces a lawsuit over the June shooting death of a black man by a white officer because we have to identify it that way. That has drawn scrutiny to the city's mayor, Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg. Let's see. The South Bend Tribune report says that police say that Eppinger began hitting the officer who responded when Eppinger refused to leave a duplex. Police say that they fell to the ground and the officer fired one shot. Eppinger faces felony, battery, and resisting arrest charges. City officials declined to comment on all of this, but now, of course, this is where you're going to get the social justice warriors and the community activists that are going to come out and they're going to go, he was unarmed. You shot an unarmed man. Now, I went over this data with you recently. I'm going to go over it just from memory again. I did this in detail a little while back. According to the statistics, okay, a police officer is more likely to be killed by an unarmed suspect than an unarmed suspect is by a police officer. All right, I'm just going to say this one more time for those of you out there who can't grasp this stuff. A police officer is more likely to be killed by an unarmed suspect than an unarmed suspect is to be killed by a police officer. So that statistic right then and there should pretty much put this to bed. I realize that it won't because there's a bunch of people out there who don't care about facts and statistics and things like that. They don't bother paying attention to any of them. It is extremely rare for an unarmed suspect to be shot. However, they do attack police officers on a regular basis, and a police officer at that point has to make a judgment call on what they are supposed to do. Do you keep going toe-to-toe with this guy with your hands, risk losing? Okay. If you're knocked out, you're defenseless. You're completely defenseless. Now, I don't know how many of you have watched these videos, but over the years, there's been a lot of videos of police officers being overcome by suspects. One of the most brutal was one that involved a highway patrol officer. This is a long time ago, but it went viral when we used to have the police chase. What is that called? Wildest police chases, the world's wildest police chases. And that one did it too. It was all captured on the officer's dash cam. Happened to be a female officer. Of course, she's got a father, and she pulls him over, and she's going over. He's got his kid, I think his daughter, in the car, and what he does is he punches her, and she goes out cold. And then he gets on top of her, and he continues to beat her over and over and over again. She's completely unconscious, has no way of defending herself. His daughter is screaming at him, begging him to stop, and she's just a little girl at the time, like 8, 9, 10 years old. And finally, he gets up and leaves. There are other videos that I have seen where this has happened, and the individual drew the officer's gun and then shot them to death. Okay? This is not something that you need to toy around with, all right? If you are a police officer and somebody is attacking you physically, there's no sense for you to just go toe-to-toe. You might win, you might not. Okay? Even if everybody has the opportunity to get that lucky punch in. It's entirely possible. And police officers are, of course, weighed down with all of their gear. Their mobility is reduced. Their speed is reduced as a result of all of this. So they're not at their normal physical peak anyway when they have their gear on. And why risk it? If this officer is attacking the other officer with South Bend, you do what you can to defend yourself. Now, if you can get to a less lethal item, then okay, fine. But I've already told you before, typically you don't draw your less lethal item unless you have backup there. And the idea is for one officer to use the less lethal device, the other officer to use the lethal device in case the less lethal device fails. And that's why they communicate that I'm taking out, my less lethal device, whichever, device it ends up being. I'm taking that out. They coordinate that. If it fails, then they know that they have an officer there willing to use lethal force just in case. If you're in a one-on-one scenario, there's no backup there, then you have to protect yourself. If they get that gun, you can die. And so you fire. He fired one time. Again, we keep hearing these stories about how people, they just emptied their magazine into the suspect, just clearly fearful, rage-induced, all of that other stuff. And then when we have officers who demonstrate calm under fire, under pressure, and in danger, then people are equally as enraged, which goes to tell you it's just intellectually dishonest for people to pretend that the officer using control and not losing that control to go and neutralize a suspect, that somehow that is bad. But now you have this story here. Okay, so you've got the lawsuit, which of course you expect anytime somebody's shot by the cops, there's going to be a lawsuit, even if the cops are justified all day because they know that there's going to be a settlement out of all of this. But then I have this Viewpoint article. Now, we all know that some people were really, really butthurt when I called the author of an article who was written on behalf of the brother of Eric Logan, the criminal who came at Sergeant O'Neill and was shot to death, a pathetic snowflake. And when I did that on the Viewpoint article that was published in the South Bend Tribune, is that about a week ago, we did a poll on it, whether I went too far, and 98% of you said that I did not go too far and that I was accurate in my description. Now, if you don't remember, the point of that article was that when police officers show up at these community meetings, we just had one, which of course erupted in anger and yelling and screaming and all of that other stuff, because again, nobody's actually interested in what the police have to say or repairing that relationship. They just want to demonstrate power, control, and maybe generate some revenue and fame for themselves while they're at it. But if you remember what the point of it was, police officers who show up to these community meetings with the South Bend Police Department should not have their firearms on because it is, quote, insensitive and intimidating. And therefore, they should leave their firearms off and they should just run around without any firearms on there. And the author also frivolously proclaimed that it showed distrust of the community that the police department is tasked with protecting, and therefore it just soils the entire experience, and it really shows that the police department has no good faith when they are having these public meetings, which of course is totally absurd. Every department that I'm aware of, the police officers, when they're off duty, are armed. I honestly, I don't know of a police department that allows their officers to walk around unarmed when they're not on duty, because technically you're always kind of on duty if you're law enforcement, just in case some mass event or something like that happens, you've got to make your way over there. Like I said before, it's kind of like being a volunteer firefighter. You may not be on duty, but you always have your gear with you. And that is just in case something happens. And police officers are that way. I'm sure that there might be departments out there that say, you don't have to carry your firearm with you when you're off duty. I don't know, but I've never run into one that allows that, okay? And if there is a department that does allow it, I don't know any police officers who are not armed all the time. I don't know anybody who goes, thank God I don't have to carry my firearm with me today. I'm just going to leave that at home and walk around liberated in a gun-free world. I don't know any police officers who behave that way. Police officers know that there is danger at any opportunity. And these people going out there and saying that these officers should not be armed when they are having a conversation with them is just the height of intellectual dishonesty. But there is a counter article written in the South Bend Tribune that counters in a more eloquent way, although less accurate way than my determination on that last article, that this is actually coming from the attorney of the St. Joseph County Police Department. So they wrote a response to the article that police should not be armed at these events. And I want to go ahead and read from that for you, coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Yoink.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 25 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' 5-day forecasts.
Here's a look at your 5-day forecast.
Yeah, I saw them
This
booing
morning,
luck
we'll
too.
stay
That was
on the
pretty.
dry side, but we'll have
That was pretty
showers and
pathetic.
rumbles of thunder as we head towards lunchtime and into the afternoon. We'll see a high temperature of 73 degrees for today, dropping down to 68 overnight tonight as the rounds of rain continues. That even pushes into Tuesday morning. But the second half of tomorrow.
What's up, Al? How you doing?
With more sunshine, a little warmer as well, right around 78 degrees. And starting on Wednesday, all day sunshine with a little bit cooler, right around 76. And a very similar forecast for Thursday, so staying dry through the middle portions of the work week. And come Friday, maybe one more chance of some light rain showers, especially in the morning and midday hours. With just a little bit warmer high, right around 77. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Alex County.
The station to turn to when the weather turns bad.
Severe weather season is here. This is ABC 57 meteorologist Tom Coombs.
Joe got a flat tire on the way in today.
Protection is to go to the basement and under a heavy table or workbench, or cover yourself with a mattress or sleeping bag. If there is no basement, get to the lowest floor of a small center room like a bathroom or closet, or under the stairs. Crouch low to the floor, face down, and cover your head with your hands.
95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678.
Why in the...
pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses.
I
in
uploaded
any
a
condition,
custom
any price
thumbnail,
range, and in any location.
and it's not
I am not a realtor or associated with
using
any
the
realty
custom
company.
thumbnail.
I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant will pay me the rent houses. Do you own a
I don't
house
like the
that
way
is
that
trashed
YouTube
and
is
needs
doing all of
thousands
this
dollars in repairs?
new stuff for
Great,
their
because I
streamings,
love
making
buying
it more
damaged
complicated
houses
than it was,
I buy
and it was
vacant
already
houses,
too damn
abandoned
complicated.
houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today. That's 574-294-5678.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. The Lion's Elite Tub Shower includes an extra deep bathing well. It's just $372.02 after sale price and 11% off. Or get the linear seated shower for $523.32 after sale price and 11% off. Finish all of your projects with 11% off everything right now at Menards. Good through September 2nd.
Good morning, Happy. How are you?
Exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at what it might mean for your relationship if you felt love at first sight. Details Tuesday morning on Michiana's Morning News with me, Mark McGill, on News Talk 95.3 MNC.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number, 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364, and please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So, the South Bend Tribune has got an article. Now, this is a viewpoint article. These are the ones that come from the public. South Bend police are listening, so should activists. This is a retort to the ludicrous claim last week that police should disarm when they go to these public meetings because it's insensitive and insulting, and it basically intimidates the public. I am writing in response to the Viewpoint, August 15th, expressing the opinion South Bend police officers should not wear their department sidearms to the SBPD community meetings. I am the attorney for the St. Joseph County Police Department, and we've recently heard similar statements about sidearms when the sheriff and our county officers attend community meetings. The opinion article and the statements are made in a vacuum and do not take into consideration the situations and legal requirements that our police officers must deal with. The opinion writer states, regardless of on-duty or off-duty, the police wearing their sidearms was done out of insensitivity, possibly intimidation, and that the police, quote, distrust us enough to wear firearms. In one aspect, one point the writer makes is correct. Whether the officers were off-duty or on-duty does not matter. Our police officers are required by department rules to wear a sidearm, whether off-duty or on-duty. Told you. You might wonder why that rule exists. The rule exists because our officers are always on call. Department rules require them to listen to police radio traffic and respond when crises occur, and the department needs additional officers. Also, it is common for an off-duty officer to witness or come across an incident such as theft or a car accident, which requires some action by the off-duty officer. How many times have we covered stories where it's an off-duty officer that did something? So again, the attorney for the St. Joseph County Police Department is, in fact, confirming everything that I have said. Many dispatch calls for service come from an off-duty officer radioing in dispatch for an on-duty officer. And most crucially, regardless of whether on-duty or off-duty, an officer can face potential criminal charges, discipline, or civil litigation for failing to act to an incident. Also, told you, went over this last week, they are legally required to act whether on or off duty. Our officers cannot risk being unable to take action. The families and friends of our officers will tell you that they are never really off duty. Wherever they go, they are scanning the store or restaurant, keeping their eyes on the door and suspicious activity. As for the statements that the police distrust us enough to wear firearms, this is divisive and counterproductive and is made without listening or understanding of legal requirements on police officers. Police officers have a greater understanding of our own community than most of us. They go everywhere in our community, see people in their darkest hour, and are witnesses to great tragedy and horrible trauma. Now, when that statement was in the article, one of the things that I pointed out is I'm willing to bet that the author of the article and Eric Logan's brother, whom the article was written on behalf of, I'm willing to bet that they lock their door at night. And if they do lock their door at night, then they don't trust their neighbors. And so they don't trust their neighbors, and yet they're expecting the police department to trust their neighbors. It's kind of interesting how that works, right? I also attended this meeting. Many of the comments at the meeting were made with little understanding of the legal requirements or the discipline process of police officers, ignored the reality of the situation our officers deal with every day, and spread misinformation. At the end of the meeting, the comment that more police officers should be here was made to the whole gym. I agree, more officers need to talk about what they go through each day and why they do what they do. However, the community and activists must also listen and attempt to understand, which clearly the ones that show up at these meetings are not interested in doing. Now, I'm saying that, not the author here. Let's see. Our community will only heal when the listening and understanding are two-way. The police department is listening and attempting to understand those pushing for change. However, those pushing for change must also listen and attempt to understand the police department or its officers. And as I pointed out over the past several of these meetings, there is no attempt to do so. These are purely community activists who are trying to gain name recognition, financial benefit, what have you. They're not there to actually improve relations, ladies and gentlemen. If the activists continue to use verbal accusations and attacks on all police officers, not much healing will happen. South Bend needs good police officers, and so far, much of what has taken place has just stoked the fires, divided our community, and chased off good police officers. If the activists really want cooperative change, they need to not only protest and speak out, but also listen and attempt to understand. As Troy Warner, again, he's the attorney for the St. Joseph County Police Department. All right, so here's another thing. South Bend Police Department is going around mowing lawns this week, right? So how many of these community activists do you think are going to hop on board with that and go help their community and mow some lawns for people who can't mow their lawns or lawns that are at properties that are vacated in order to make their community look better. How many of them do you think are going to do that? Exactly. Dan, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm calling about the police being armed.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing. Many of these police, I know several police in St. Joe County, and they have had their lives threatened by gang members, by family members when they've had to make an arrest, when they have to testify. And these people that have their nose out of joint because the cop's wearing a gun when it comes to a meeting, it has nothing to do with the people in that meeting at that time. He has to come, he has to go, he has a life to live, and that's the reason they carry a gun quite often.
Well, of course. There used to be a charity, I don't know if they're still around, there used to be a charity that would document the attempts on police officer and their families' lives nationally. And it happens all the time. And like I said, you're a police officer. Now, can you imagine, Dan, what would happen if we found out that there was a community event involving police officers and none of the officers there were going to be armed? Can you imagine what would happen? I mean, obviously, bad guys would target that. I mean, if you can take out several officers in one evening, you decimate a police department and you'd have free run of the city for a while. There's no doubt that they would absolutely be targets if people knew that they were showing up unarmed. One of the reasons that people don't bother them all that much is they know that they're armed. So yeah, this would be this. Like I said, it was written by an idiot on behalf of an idiot who's the brother of an idiot who tried to kill a cop. And so when I went out there and called him a pathetic snowflake, it was funny. The author sent me, I know you're not calling Eric Logan's brother a pathetic snowflake. Actually, I'm calling you a pathetic snowflake. But if those are really his words, then yeah, he is. I'm sorry that his brother tried to kill a cop and wouldn't listen to reason. Maybe he was on dope or something. I think they were still waiting for that. But the reality of the situation is he was a bad guy. And a bad guy had a knife and wouldn't drop the knife, and he got shot. Sorry, that's how things go.
That's right.
If you don't want to get shot, don't draw a knife on a police officer. Really, isn't that difficult, right?
No, that's right. And I've talked to a cop who looked like during the summer he was wearing a little bit of a purse or a small camera bag, and he's saying, "Well, I got to do this. My life's been threatened."
Sure.
And it may look a little odd, but that's the situation.
Hey, however, you got to carry your boomstick with you, right?
That's right.
All right, Dan. Appreciate it, bud. You take care.
Okay, bye.
All right. But this is the thing, and everything that I told you when we talked about this, which maybe it was longer than just a week ago, but everything that I have told you when we talked about this was just confirmed by the attorney for the St. Joseph County Police Department. They're required to be armed and everything else, but they also go into some of the other stuff that I've said, which is these community meetings. None of these activists who show up actually care about fixing everything. I would go back to something that happened with Black Lives Matter a couple of years ago. There was a Black Lives Matter chapter. I forget where this was, but there was a Black Lives Matter chapter, and they were going to have a barbecue. It was a community barbecue with the local police department. And it was a way for, this group that protests police abuse and police who are often falsely accused of abuse. Now, abuse happens, and we call it out every time we know that it happens. But in fact, I have a story for you today about police abuse that is really disturbing. So you've got, Black Lives Matter in this local chapter. You got the police department, and they said, we're going to get together, and we're going to invite the community to come hang out with both sides as we barbecue with one another, and we're going to go ahead and mend this friction that we have in the community. And the response from the National Black Lives Matter outfit was that these weren't real Black Lives Matter activists. And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was we eat bacon, we don't eat with bacon, and it just became a whole brouhaha about all of this. And ultimately, this is just a group. Finally, a local chapter of Black Lives Matter that was taking this seriously and was actually trying to mend fences, and a police department that was willing to do it as well. And you had the organization basically saying, "Oh, no, we don't associate with people who do that because we're not about that. We're not about mending fences, and they're not about mending fences. They're about seizing power. They're about oppressing police activity and authority. And of course, they can make a buck or a name for themselves, then so be it." Why do you think the South Bend Tribune published a whole article about community activists in South Bend that you need to learn about and pay attention to? It's to push their fame. And what did community activists get paid to do? Stir up controversy. Like I said, everything that we have with the Eric Logan thing is that it was justified shooting. Everything that we have. There isn't anything that goes against that. Nothing. And yet, we've got a semi-national scandal about it. We've got the police department doing these community meetings, and then we've got people associated with these community meetings pitching a fit because the officers are armed. Like I said, what do you think would happen if a bunch of bad guys in South Bend knew that a large chunk of the department were going to be at these meetings, including the sheriff, or not sheriff, excuse me, police chief, think of county and then city again. They were going to show up at these meetings and they were going to be unarmed. What do you think would happen? It's an open target. It's an absolute open target. There's no way in the world I would ever endorse anything like that, nor would any of the police officers, thank God. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Oh, yeah, that's just really whacked out crazy.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I don't know why it does that, but it does.
I've never seen that before.
News Center, and among our top stories this Monday afternoon, the first results of Indiana's new standardized test will be released soon.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb says the 2018-19 iLearn proficiency test results will be released next week. Holcomb does not go into specifics, but does say the results will show a decrease compared to the previously administered ISTEP test. Since this is the first year for the iLearn assessment, he's asking the General Assembly to hold schools harmless so the test scores don't hurt teacher evaluations and schools letter grades for the 2018-19 school year. Indiana moved to the new test to comply with federal requirements.
Okay. They're all urban and right reporting.
Yeah,
Elkhart police are asking for help from the public.
All right, okay. Just bring my earbuds next to me so that way Mark doesn't
The wallet was stolen on August 5th in the 1100 block.
Those are my favorite.
That would never happen.
Better than my
video using several stores.
I did not just call Mark McGill a thief on
That would never happen. He would never walk off with somebody else's.
He would never take anything from the front desk.
Nope. He never walks off with anybody else's stuff.
Especially when it's labeled front office.
Hold on.
The board is pursuing 5 big projects.
I didn't. Hold on.
You're okay.
And we back. All right.
Sad part is none of that actually good discussion.
Nope. It's on to YouTubers though.
That is true.
So maybe I need to learn how to do that highlight thing. Even though I don't really have enough time to do the friggin' highlight thing.
At least that. I guess that's it. Why does he have that in program?
Don't ask. I has no knowledge. All right. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do this friggin' highlight thing.
Here's what you could do, Casey. You could just end the stream right now, and then it will be highlighted.
Yeah, and just do it again. I mean, but the thing is like, the new system, okay? So the new system that they go into, it's live event instead of live dashboard or whatever it is. The video's not there, and create a highlight is not an option. It's like not allowing me to click it. So I don't. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is. And why did they? You've got gaming, stream now, and then events. Why? Why? None of that makes any kind of sense. And it's really slow and clunky. Like super slow and clunky.
Up $1.50 on September beans, 8.63 3/4. Novi 8.67 1/4. Up $1.03.
Anyway,
Down 2.5.
I hate people.
September wheat, 473. October live cattle,
No shit.
$1.60 higher, 101 even, and up to 450 limit on the October.
Had stuff stolen out of my garage. Yeah. Yep.
Relevant, credible.
Not the expensive stuff, but enough stuff that it adds up to being expensive. Yeah. Tools that I need to fulfill orders, and like all of my grinder belts are gone. My Glock 19 molds are gone. Trim jigs are gone. Chemicals are gone. Yeah, it's mildly annoying, to say the least. I didn't see any pictures of the Star Wars hotel thing today. Now I saw the
I
the like
haven't seen any of the hotel stuff, but I've seen all the park stuff.
really what?
Really good.
Yeah, the I hear that
All the
at,
lifestyle stuff.
I hear that at Disneyland, like the new Star Wars ride is not doing very well, and it looks like it's the old Star Trek thing where you're just in a simulator that moves around. Like we had the Star Trek experience in Vegas.
They had not at Magic Kingdom, but at
little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat BP at
I think it's
and now get your first month supply for just $5.
Is it?
At
It might be Disney. No, it's not. It's not Magic Kingdom. It's one of the other parks. I don't know which one. But they have this like where you sit and you're in a transport and you run into not only like droids, but Darth Vader and stormtroopers. And I'm like, continuity is the thing. Can we have it, please? My one, like, this is really cool and really fun. It's a 3D simulator that you sit in and it moves around. It's really cool, but continuity.
It's yeah, and that's what the Star Trek The Experience was, which was fine. I mean, but that's really old. You know, that's old technology. So I don't know.
I bet it was fun.
So we've been watching like theme park rides as people record them and stuff like that. So somebody went in there and recorded it, and it's like, all right, I mean, it looks fine, but people are like, no, I want to do like Space Mountain and stuff, which I get. I totally get.
Is that a revolver? The Hong Kong police are using revolvers.
Yeah, he mentioned purse. I think he meant like a fanny pack. I think because they have holsters that go in the front, like little fanny packs.
See the light of day. You give up all hope. I think the only way that people really make it out of it.
To do this, or would they be peaceful and then they did it?
Coming out of the darkness.
I mean, most of the Hong Kong protesters have been pretty peaceful. So
yeah. Now, if they were being non-peaceful, that would make
sense. What's up, Blue? How you doing? Yeah, but most of them have been pretty peaceful.
But it would not be the first time that a peaceful protest has been happening.
What?
That's happened.
What? You're not saying that China has a history of breaking up peaceful protests?
No, just people, just countries in general.
But specifically China.
China, yes, but
specifically.
I understand that, Casey. But I'm saying
Tiananmen what? We just had the anniversary of Tiananmen too.
Yes, I'm aware.
Are you aware though?
Yes.
Are you really aware?
Yes.
I don't think he's aware. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right. First of all, I got to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Excuse me. You can go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. They have 10 dedicated shooting lanes with rifles and pistols and rentals. Oh my. And make sure you mention me to get half off your range time there. Okay. Remember last week, the president
basically ordered American companies to get out of China, right? Now, what most people did is they ran on and said, under whose authority? And I saw people on the right, I saw people on the left, I saw a bunch of people kind of wigging out about that. And me, being the reasonable, rational individual that I am 90% of the time, took a step back and said, he's not just going to say that unless he's got some reason that he can do it. And so I came on here, I said, I'm not exactly sure what he means by that or where that authority would come from. We know now, guess what? He has the power to force American companies to leave China. Who knew? Turns out Jimmy Carter is the guy responsible for it. The Emergency Economic Powers Act. So this is what Donald Trump tweeted out. By the way, I'm not saying that you should do this, all right? And by the way, China's kind of blinked again today, and negotiations are back on, so the markets are going back up. For all of the fake news reporters that don't have a clue as to what the law is relative to presidential powers, China, etc., try looking at the Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. Case closed, the president tweeted out. Let's see. And by the way, it's not just fake news reporters. That's a lot of people on the political right, libertarians, conservatives, and what have you, who were furious that the president dared to tweet something out like that. Let's see. This is the Federalist Papers. And for those of you who are saying that he cannot do it, which is many Democrats, Reuters has confirmed that he does, in fact, have the authority. Hours after China announced retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods on Friday, President Donald Trump ordered U.S. companies to start looking for an alternative to China, including bringing your companies home and making your products in the USA. The stakes are high. U.S. companies invested a total of $256 billion in China between 1990 and 2017, compared with $140 billion that Chinese companies have invested in the United States. So, more than $100 billion more. So now, again, you could argue based on the size of our economies that is comparable. We have a much bigger economy than China has. What do we have here? Some U.S. companies had been shifting operations out of China even before the tit-for-tat tariff trade war began more than a year ago, but winding down operations and shifting production out of China completely would take time. Further, many U.S. companies, such as those in the aerospace, services, and retail sectors, would be sure to resist pressure to leave a market that is not only huge, but growing. Unlike China, the United States does not have a centrally planned economy, so what legal action can the president take to compel American companies to do his bidding? Now, what should have happened is most people should have said, wow, can he actually do this? That should be the reaction. When the president tweets something out, you should go, wow, can he actually do this? And then you start looking. That's what your first visceral reaction should be. And then if you don't find anything, you go, well, I can't find a single thing that says that he can do this, so this seems like a bunch of bloviating nonsense. But if you probably would have dug a little bit, maybe you would have found this. And that's where the president's authority derives from. And again, Reuters has kind of confirmed all of this. Now, this is obviously, somewhat tentative. I don't know if there's any subsequent laws that have negated this one and that sort of thing. Yeah, that still remains to be seen. But there is a law in the books that allows the president to make the order that he was saying he was going to potentially make. And again, had anybody just stopped for a second, took a deep breath and said, can he do that? Instead of automatically assuming you knew he couldn't, then maybe we would have been better off with the news coverage late last week. Trump could do more of what Christmas with the Crumps at the White House. Trump could do more of what he's already doing, that is hiking tariffs to squeeze company profits enough for them to make it no longer worth their while to operate out of China. And that's kind of what I thought he might have been doing. It's like he certainly has, some economic stuff that he can do that would make it really untenable to do business in China. But can he actually order people to leave China? Trump on Friday boosted by 5 percentage points the 25% tariffs already in place on nearly $250 billion of Chinese imports, including raw materials, machinery, and finished goods, with a new higher 30% tax rate. It is a tax rate. Tariff rates to take effect on October 1st. He said planned 10% tariffs on about $300 billion worth of additional Chinese-made consumer goods would be raised to 15%, and those measures set to take effect on September 1st and then December 15th. So now, the 1977 law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA. Once an emergency is declared, the law gives Trump broad authority to block the activities of individual companies or even entire economic sectors, former federal officials and legal experts said. This is interesting. For example, by stating that Chinese theft of U.S. companies' intellectual property constitutes a national emergency, and it would be hard to argue against that, Trump could order U.S. companies to avoid certain transactions, such as buying Chinese technology products, according to Tim Meyer, director of the International Legal Studies program at Vanderbilt Law School. Trump also used a similar strategy earlier this year when he said illegal immigration was an emergency and threatened to put tariffs on all Mexican imports. Past presidents have invoked, I should say, the IEEPA to freeze the assets of foreign governments, such as when former President Jimmy Carter in 1979 blocked assets owned by the Iranian government from passing through the U.S. financial system. The IEEPA framework is broad enough to do something blunt, Meyer said. And Blunt is from Vanderbilt. In other words, he has more experience and knowledge on this than Twitter does. Using it could risk unintended harm on the U.S. economy, says Peter Harrell, former senior State Department official responsible for sanctions. He's now at the Center for a New American Security. Let's see. U.S. officials would need to weigh the impact of China's likely retaliation, how U.S. companies would be affected. But it could also trigger legal damages challenges in U.S. courts, according to Mark Wu, a professor of international trade at Harvard Law School. And no doubt that there would be court stuff. But the point of the matter is that you absolutely can do this if you're the president of the United States. And again, if you go back to the theft of intellectual property, you look at everything that has been happening with Huawei, okay? Remember, Huawei's basically been labeled as a spy of China. You look at everything that happened with Lenovo, iPhone, all of these American tech companies that had Chinese spyware and chips implanted in their technology, the president of the United States could easily go, look, it's clear they're trying to spy on us, and this is a national security thing. Boom. Who's going to argue against it? They have all of the evidence in the world to back up that this is happening. So the president does have the authority to force companies to not do business with China. Doesn't mean he will, but it just shows that the hyper-reactionary tweets, posts, things like that were to the president's tweet last week were ill-informed and probably ill-advised, a little bit too visceral and emotional to make it any reasonable argument, to be honest with you, because he does have the authority, turns out. And he's not the first president to exercise that authority. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news.
What?
How have I not seen this show?
I've heard about it. I heard that she has a red lightsaber, but I have not watched it. I'm hoping she goes evil. That's what I'm hoping for. I think that would be the way to go.
Here's a look at your 5-day forecast. Early this morning, we'll stay mainly on the dry side, but we'll have more showers and rumbles of thunder as we head towards lunchtime and into the afternoon. We'll see a high temperature of 70 degrees today, dropping down to 68 overnight tonight as the rounds of rain continues. That even pushes into Tuesday morning. The second half of tomorrow, much drier and with more sunshine. A little warmer as well, right around 78 degrees. Starting on Wednesday, all day sunshine. A little bit cooler, right around 76. And a very similar forecast for Thursday, so staying dry through the middle portions of the work week. And come Friday, maybe one more chance of some light rain showers, especially in the morning and midday hours. Just a little bit warmer high, right around 77.
I head over to Twitch too. Now I got some people hanging out on Twitch. How about Joe Biden telling everybody he's not losing his mind? Imagine the messaging being so effective against you that you have to actually go out and tell people you're not going insane.
This is Casey Reed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day. We're not here to just beat our chest
asked about our experience in education. Well, that may be important. We're really here to discuss.
I am not going to talk about the 12-year-old one. No, I got a much more egregious one. We can bring that one up too, though.
Give us a call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, healthcare emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. Let's get to work right now to get you on the road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559. We're here to talk about you. 866-482-9559. 866-482-9559.
Now, of course, you know that story, you know the reason that story is not national news. I mean, let's be perfectly honest.
Do you want to learn to speak a new language but don't have enough time? Then you need to try Babbel, the language learning app.
How do you even say that guy's last name?
Right now at Babbel.com.
Niwatiwa?
Babbel's lessons are just
Niwatiwa?
You'll be amazed at how easy Babbel makes it. Start your first lesson in the
Easy.
language of your choice.
Now, I'll make mention of that, but that's not the story that I have. The story I have is actually much worse.
That's BABBEL.
Well, I mean, the kidnapping angle might make that worse. But
Can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites.
okay, so why is it an entertainment? It's not supposed to be an entertainment.
That's why 4 out of 5 employers.
So my video is being uploaded in the entertainment category.
First day. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
I wonder if that's been happening. I wonder if that is why my views are down.
ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm not sure what else to do. My company is thriving. I've got more business than I can handle. But I need workers, and no one has the skills I need. Why does it feel like I'm always having to settle?
Aggravating.
You don't have to. Indiana's Next Level Jobs program will help you offset the cost of training the workers you need. Learn more at nextleveljobs.org.
This message is sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, and aired in cooperation with this station.
Where are your home?
People won't leave me alone today.
Weeknights 6 till 9, exclusively on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. What do we have? Okay, this is interesting. Excuse me. I'm dealing with the hiccups today. So you have Facebook, who has done yet another censorship thing. Although actually two, because they banned ads from the Epoch Times today. I guess they were trying to say the Epoch Times is not transparent enough, which I don't know what that means, but okay. All right. On Tuesday, conservative artist and meme creator Carpe Dunctum, who's hysterical, by the way, launched a new meme repository site called memeworld.com after the announcement in a private group chat on Facebook Messenger. A private group chat on Facebook Messenger. I tried to share the site and received an error message that stated, "You can't share this link, memeworld.com." That means that beyond banning conservative content on its public-facing site, Facebook is now banning you from sharing content that it finds objectionable with your friends in private messages. On Wednesday, a Facebook spokesman responded to Blaze Media's request for comment by linking to the company's community standards enforcement report and said more information on the particular case would be forthcoming. The report lists categories that content can be banned for. It includes things such as terrorist activities and the catch-all term hate speech. Moments after Facebook's initial response to Blaze Media, memeworld.com was able to be shared on its platform. Facebook confirmed that the site was blocked in error, which happens a lot, by the way. A spokesman was unable to confirm what caused the error and said the company is looking into what caused the error. You notice, though, how the first response of Facebook isn't to we have to look at this and see what's going on. their first response is just send you the community standards, right? So, well, this is the community standards, as if automatically saying that this violated our community standards. And of course, more often than not, they don't violate the community standards when we're talking about conservative websites. While that is an encouraging sign, it doesn't change the fact that sharing the site was banned not only on Facebook's public-facing platform, but in a private message in the first place. So now Facebook is actively banning things in your private messaging. So be on the lookout for that type of stuff too, because that's also very concerning, because it's not just the stuff that's on the main Facebook site, but they're going through there and they're just saying, you know what, yeah, we don't like that content in a private message either, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. Why can't a couple of people in a private message on Facebook engage in all sorts of private conversation? Why can't they? Now, of course, this means that Facebook is, you should already know this, is diving into your private message content. Now, they will say that there's no human beings doing it, that it's all algorithms, but let's be perfectly honest, we know that that is probably not 100% accurate. It's probably accurate for the most part, but not 100% accurate. 574-25-95-95-3. That's 2595-953. Real quick, kicker topic. One of Brett Kavanaugh's high school classmates is suing the Huffington Post. This is, again, a fallout from the fiasco of his confirmation, where they were doing everything could to lie about the guy. A former classmate of Justice Brett Kavanaugh sued Huffington Post for defamation last week, alleging that the liberal news site concocted a false story about their high school's party scene as the Senate reviewed Christine Blasey Ford's allegations of sexual misconduct. Allegations that she herself doesn't even remember. The lawsuit accuses HuffPost and reporter Ashley Feinberg of publishing false information and failing to contact persons that she implicated in a crime in a September 2018 article about Georgetown Preparatory School, where Kavanaugh was a student when he allegedly assaulted Ford in the early 1980s, and of course, he did not assault her. The contested article is an extended interview with an unnamed Georgetown Prep alumnus who described the school's libertine social life while Kavanaugh was enrolled. The piece identified the apex of Prep's alleged debauchery as the 1984 death of David Kennedy, who overdosed on a lethal stimulant narcotic cocktail at the Brazilian Court Hotel in Palm Beach, Florida. In HuffPost and Feinberg's zeal to embellish a salacious article about Justice Kavanaugh's years at Georgetown Prep and to co-capitalize upon the controversy surrounding his confirmation hearing and thereby drive traffic to its website, they fabricated the false claim that Douglas Kennedy and Derek Evans helped score the illegal narcotics that killed Douglas's older brother, David, in April of 1984. The plaintiff is Derek Evans, a teacher and civil rights activist who was a contemporary of Kavanaugh's at Georgetown Prep. Both Feinberg and Huffington Post are named as defendants. Feinberg connected Evans and David's younger brother, Douglas, both prep students, to David's death, claiming the pair procured cocaine for his fatal concoction. Party drugs like cocaine circulated widely, the article said, particularly at notorious prep parties at the Kennedy Hickory Hill estate in nearby McLean, Virginia. In describing the culture of the school in those days, the former student pointed to the April 1984 overdose of 28-year-old David Kennedy, son of Robert F. Kennedy, who injected drugs into his groin, apparently to hide the needle marks. Feinberg wrote, the former student spoke of Kennedy's death as the end of the school's free-for-all party scene, except they are suing, saying that they had nothing to do with his death whatsoever, and that there was no verification that they had anything to do with his death, that they were involved in procuring those particular drugs. But yet, the Huffington Post wrote an article about it anyway, because, journalism, let's just go with hearsay and write a bunch of stuff, and they never even attempted to contact them, they say. So that's happening. We got more coming up. 95.3 MNC.
WTRC-FM and HD1. Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
Ooh, dilly. I need me some coffee.
President Trump today saying he's open to talks with Iran's president.
President Trump signaling a willingness to sit down with Iran's president, Hassan Rouhani.
If the circumstances were correct or right, I would certainly agree to that.
This as French President Emmanuel Macron suggests a meeting in the coming weeks in an effort to reduce US-Iran tensions. But President Trump attaching conditions.
We're looking for no nuclear weapons, no ballistic missiles.
Saying if Iran takes aggressive actions, they will be met with very violent force.
Fox's Simon Owen in France. President Trump today again announcing support to readmit Russia to the group of nations with the largest economies. Russia was
I like the way that the president phrased that, too. If they continue with aggressive actions, they're going to be met with very violent force. Just letting you know. But let's talk. Call me, maybe. I know this is crazy.
But you know the number. You say it every fucking day.
Of course, in the case of President Trump, I'm sure that his phone number in Iran is the big red button on the desk. Just press the button. You'll get my office.
Michiana's News Channel. Would you like to talk to
All right.
Casey?
I'm going to go grab some coffee, folks. I'll be right back.
Can I ask what you're calling about, please?
Fox News. Starting off the week with bonds and territory as investor concerns over trade issues ease on news.
Hey, are we moving on from the Facebook thing?
Yes!
First of all, you're moving on from that topic, sir, but you're welcome to call us at 5 o'clock during open lines on Fridays, and we can take your call then. Yeah, no problem.
America is listening to Fox News.
Oh, they heard me. Oh, no. They probably heard the, yes. And then me telling them no.
News Talk 95.3,
That would
Michiana's
be
News Channel, and 95.3MNC.com.
Oh, man. I got to bring another bag in. What will I do? Oh, there's only like 2 more days left in that coffee giveaway.
The university requires incoming freshmen to live on campus for 6 semesters. The policy came into force beginning with the freshman class of 2018. Brian Bennett is a manager for Kramer Properties, which owns about 20 properties around campus. He says many of the apartments were built specifically for leasing to undergraduates. He says the loss of some student renters could increase competition, especially among the larger apartment complexes. The university says of the roughly 8,500 undergraduate students, more than 60% of seniors and 15% of juniors live off campus.
That's 95.3 MNC's Brooklyn Beatty reporting. A man who was injured after being shot by a South Bend police officer claims in a lawsuit that he was the victim of excessive force. The lawsuit filed says 28-year-old Terrence Eppinger suffered a permanent disability in the March 2018 shooting. Police say that Eppinger began hitting an officer who responded when Eppinger refused to leave a duplex. And the owner of a local golf course is looking for whoever is responsible for tearing up his course with a dirt bike. Sometime between when Whispering Pines closed on Friday and when it reopened on Saturday, someone took their dirt bike across several areas of the course, including the greens. The owner told WNDU that in the past he has seen tracks in the sand traps, but nothing this serious until now. The course is open for play as they make repairs, and anyone with information should contact the police.
Weather sponsored by
The Brown Table King. Come in for your favorite breakfast. I love the bacon. No, I do. No, I do. No, I do.
Now, home comfort experts, your air conditioning professionals' first warning forecasts.
Scattered rain showers continue Monday night into early Tuesday. Temperatures will hold in the mid to upper 60s. A little muggy. The chance of rain stays in the forecast early Tuesday. Tuesday mostly cloudy and slowly clearing.
What a day, what a day, what a day. All right, peeps.
95.3 MNC on Alexa.
Alex like crump.
News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel.
News powered by the Alzheimer's Association. The Walk to End Alzheimer's returns to Michiana on September 15th. Register to walk at alz.org/walk.
When you use every day, month after month, year after
Yeah, exactly, Corey. Thanks for the link, too, by the way.
see the light of day, you give up all hope. I think the only way that people really make it out of that deep pit.
Well, if I'm way behind in the chat, it is my widget's fault. 'Tis not my fault. 'Tis the widget's fault.
That's what I think I really admire most about
I'm trying.
because they reintegrated back into the workforce.
Trying to call for a calm in to trade the dispute while not dealing with their own fucking problems.
Do what?
They're calling for a calm end to trade dispute.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Nothing's calm at their home front.
That's right. They got, protesters to deal with and stuff. They don't need this. We got people to steamroll, man.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, to
Boink.
choose your path. And that freedom fits in the palm of your hand.
Has YouTube brought back the BattleBot videos yet? Have you been following that? They deleted a bunch of BattleBot videos for like racial discrimination or something, or animal cruelty.
Well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you
For real.
built Ford proud. Visit your
Animal
participating
cruelty.
Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy.
I figured you would have at least run into that one.
Sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available.
I don't watch BattleBot videos either. I just would have assumed in your circles it would have come up.
You would think, right?
But no.
Compatible with select smartphone platforms.
Joe's friends are not informed.
The one dude who followed BattleBot stuff was a huge nerd, and no one liked him.
Yes,
I
for
say
real.
someone's a huge nerd.
BattleBots
They're a
matter.
pretty big nerd.
Yeah. See, BattleBot lives matter though. Comment. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. If you are relatively relatively handy with a handgun, I'm merging two words all day today, apparently. This is what happens the last week before vacation. You just start screwing everything up. If you are handy with a firearm, but you want to take your skills to the next level, Tactical Training Systems is teaming up with Second Amendment Arms and Range, and on the 31st, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., they have an advanced handgun course that is perfect for you. They're going to teach you all sorts of advanced things, acquiring targets, different stances, tactical reloading with one hand, all of those things, and much, much more. Go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information. Again, this happens on the 31st. You've got 5 days before the class. So you have got to register now. Go to secondamendmentarms.net, get information there. You can give them a call, or you can visit them in person, get information on it. But just sign up for that class. Trust me, you're going to take your shooting to the next level with this type of training. All right, what do we have here? Okay, I'll do the BattleBot thing just because I've been holding on to this for a while and nobody seems to know anything about it. So YouTube, I was just asking Joe, I figured he would have run into this. I was like, do you know if they have brought back the BattleBot videos on YouTube? Because YouTube took a bunch of BattleBot videos down for animal cruelty. So I am not making this up. So YouTube actually took down a bunch of these BattleBots, which are, cool. They saw that TV show. They had like a network TV show. Yeah. I've never watched it, but I was super stoked that thing came out, and I've never watched it because it came out and then I cut the cord. So I guess I have to wait for it on streaming if it's not on streaming. But yeah, Maker's Muse did a video on it. Maker's Muse is a really good 3D printing channel too, by the way. He's a cool dude from Australia. And if you are into 3D printing or you want to be into 3D printing and you're looking for a family-friendly site, Maker's Muse is a really good one. So anyway, he did a whole video on the BattleBots thing, which I'm not going to play for you or anything like that, but I was just like, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, they removed these BattleBots, which of course, engineers do this. There's a television show devoted to it. Kids do this. Robotics teams all over the country do this, that sort of thing. So it's, again, for animal cruelty. It's like, okay, whatever you say. But yeah, so I don't know if they've actually fixed that problem. I would assume that they fixed it by now, but I hadn't heard that they were added back in. So I was just kind of curious if anybody had known about that, and I figured I'd just update you because I had a bunch of people not know that it happened, and my apologies for assuming that everybody knows all of the stuff that I run into. College. They've used artificial intelligence to identify hate speech. Cool. If you don't want human beings to be subjective about it, let's have a robot go ahead and do that. So I got another AI story for you. A new study out of Cornell
reveals that the machine learning practices behind AI, which are designed to flag offensive online content, may actually discriminate against the groups who are often the targets of the abuse that we are trying to detect, according to the study's abstract. All right, let's dive into this a little bit more. The study involved researchers training a system to flag tweets containing hate speech in much the same way that other universities are developing systems for eventual online use by using several databases of tweets, some of which had been flagged by human evaluators for offensive content. See, the problem with training a robot in offensive content is that a human being is training the robot. So instead of just putting in a universal glossary of terms, we have human beings who think that the president's tweet that he likes taco salads and taco bowls was racist. All he was doing was telling you that he likes taco bowls. That was it. But people thought that that was racist simply because it was him. So if you have snowflakes teaching robots how to be snowflakes, the robot will likely be a snowflake unless it's, able to determine snowflakedom and eradicate it, which I assume is coming soon. The results show evidence of systematic racial bias in all data sets, as classifiers trained on them tend to predict what tweets written in African American English are abusive at substantially higher rates. Uh-oh. Well, that's a backfire. If these abusive language detection systems are used in the field, they will, therefore, have a disproportionate negative impact on African American social media users. Okay, so let me break this down, because some of you are going, wait a minute, hold on a second. That sounds like it might be buzzworthy, Casey, but what's really happening? Cornell University did a study on artificial intelligence, which looks online for hate speech and bigotry and racism and all sorts of stuff. And they found out that Black Americans tend to be the worst violators, which means Cornell University had to do a study on how artificial intelligence is actually racist. Remember, we are racist with robots. Remember that? Was it 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? We prefer white robots. Why do we prefer white robots? We're racist. Okay. Now, artificial intelligence, which would be used to power the robots that will kill us, artificial intelligence is now identifying that Black Americans use hate speech far more than any other demographic, which means Cornell University has to do a study on this and say, well, artificial intelligence is racist then. It'll disproportionately affect the Black population of the United States, who uses hate speech at disproportionate levels. So you understand, instead of Cornell backing off and going, wait a minute, that doesn't fit the narrative. Why are Black people using so much hate speech? What's going on? Is it actually hate speech, or is it like, rap lyrics or something? They're just quoting hate speech. Is it actual targeted hate speech, or is it just something that's in culture? And they didn't bother to determine that. Basically, what they did is they just said, well, we're Cornell University and we've got a reputation to uphold. And so let's just say that artificial intelligence is racist. So there you go. We are racist against Black robots. And I had a whole show on that. Well, a whole segment on my show about that. And now artificial intelligence is racist against Black people. So my assumption is we're going to have a bunch of white robots running around, and they're going to take out Black people first. That's what I think. So when the robot uprising happens, it's probably not going to be good to not be white. Well, it's not going to be good for all of us because we're all going to be enslaved anyway. But it seems like the white robots are going to target a specific demographic based on artificial intelligence. So like I said, Cornell University, instead of just looking at this and going, okay, why are Black Americans using more hate speech online and what's the context? Instead of doing that, they simply, in their study, artificial intelligence is going to have a disproportionate negative impact on Black people. But those are the people using hate speech the most. So if you're going to limit hate speech online, then the group that would be most apt to use hate speech is going to be affected the most. Do you think that their study would have said white people will be disproportionately affected by this if it had been whites that used hate speech more than Blacks online? Do you think that would have been the headline? Probably not. So Cornell University find something staggering, by the way. And why isn't this on everybody's news channels? Every time we have a study about hate speech online, there's always a panel talking about it. There's always a big brouhaha about it for a week or so. Why do we not have that happening right now? Oh, narratives, right? It's not the right narrative. I've told you my life experience before. Most of the hate speech and discrimination and bigotry that I have experienced in my life have come from Black Americans. My wife, same thing. Many of you, it has been different, and I acknowledge that it has been different. My whole point is not to say that Black people are more racist than whites. My whole point is to point out that everybody has bigots. Everybody has people who discriminate against other people, and everybody has people who discriminate against them. So that's just how it is. Now, it doesn't happen with any regularity, thank God, and it's not that big of a deal in the United States of America. Again, thank God, but it does happen. And yet, when we have the scientific evidence from artificial intelligence that says point blank, this is the group that uses hate speech the most online, and it doesn't fit the narrative, well, the artificial intelligence must be racist then. Okay. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
On your radio at 95.3 FM. Online at 953mnc.com and on your smart speaker when you enable the 95.3
I just now got a splinter in my finger from my desk.
Nice.
And it's a gnarly one, too.
Weather served up by the Prime Table in Niles. 25 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great.
Come on. Oh, got you. Got you. You see that? You probably can't see that. There it is. That's it. I'm sure that was in focus.
78 on Tuesday, clouds breaking for the afternoon. Falling into mid-50s Tuesday night, clear and cool, less humidity. 76 on Wednesday with sunshine.
Doink.
78 on Thursday. 78 again on Friday with some increasing clouds. We may have a chance of showers late Friday and early Saturday. Saturday, partly cloudy, 75, and looking fair for much of the weekend. In the ABC 57 First Morning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Coon.
The top news stories. This man was not going to go back to prison.
What in the hell? I put it in Facebook, and it took me right back to the website that I was on.
It's time for us to be bold, to stand together. Texas grieves with you.
We just have to say enough is enough. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Your breaking news and weather station.
This is Casey Weed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus is the families and individuals we help every day. We're not here to just beat our chest about our experience and education. While that may be important, we're really here to discuss you and the challenges you'll face in retirement. You are unique, and we're willing.
Don't forget, Pass the Mic is Friday. So you have 2 days to register to win the Black Rifle Coffee. Pass the Mic is this Friday. My doctor is going to be there, and she's going to be talking about direct primary care. What is it? How is it beneficial for you? And that sort of thing. It's not going to be a sales pitch, okay? She's not even an advertiser. Just, you guys are always asking me about it.
866-482-9559, 866-482-9559, or just visit retirewithpurpose.com.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand
Scissor.
It's the staff that's in the photo. Behind the scenes of any office or industrial build are numerous contractors tirelessly taking dreams from drawing board to reality with precision, on schedule, and on budget. From the very first step, the trusted experience.
Michiana's a news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
Final Phase Electric has the tools.
Can I ask what you're calling about, please?
Your dreams are reality, and can step in at any time to assess your project with a level of unmatched
Racist robots.
throws guesswork out the window. We believe in positive results through positive people, and we're positive that we can help you with your commercial.
Those darned racist robots.
One call does it all. 574-522-4444. That's 574-522-4444. Let us take the guesswork out of your project and help you sleep easy. You've got better things to do. Let us hook you up. Find Final Phase Electric on Facebook or visit Final Phase Electric.
All right, can I get your first name, please?
Summer's almost over, but if you hurry to mydealsmichiana.com, you can
Alrighty, I'll try to get you on there.
Edge Adventures at Rum Village Park. Conquer Edge Adventures treats
Yes, you'll be put on hold until you can, until he puts you on.
all-day passes, all for 20% off at mydealsmichiana.com. It's the perfect summertime activity for family and friends to get outside and do something new and exciting. Hurry over to mydealsmichiana.com. Your Edge Adventures passes now. That's mydealsmichiana.com.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Update your floors with Target. Click vinyl plank flooring, waterproof and easy to install. Ingenuity luxury vinyl plank flooring comes in 2 styles, just $150 a square foot after sale price and 11% off. Finish all of your projects with 11% off everything.
Yeah, I don't think that it's real wood. It just, I don't know, something's stuck in me, man. I just felt something as I was doing my show, and then I had something in me.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Before we head back to the phone lines, I do want to remind everybody that you have 2 days, today included, to register to win the Black Rifle Coffee that I am giving away on YouTube. So here's the deal. You have to go to youtube.com/Casey the host. That's CASEY. You have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. For most of you, when you go to the channel, the video that plays automatically will be the Black Rifle Coffee video. And it's just me talking about how you can win Black Rifle Coffee. Really simple. If you sign up to win, there's a link in the description of that video, which you click on. You have to be a subscriber of the YouTube channel to be eligible to win. You can get extra entries, which increase your chances of winning by doing other things. And there's instructions on all of that. That's there. Okay. Really easy to do. Most of it just involves following me on certain social media platforms. And if you already follow me on those platforms, go through the steps anyway. It will register you. Okay. Now, if you don't want to win, or if you don't win the Black Rifle Coffee, there is a discount code in there for you to purchase a bag or two of Black Rifle Coffee from their website, and I will save you some money to do that. So if you don't win the coffee, you go back, you still use that coupon code, you will save some money on Black Rifle Coffee, okay? It's entirely up to you how you want to do this. But you have to be a subscriber on YouTube. So go to youtube.com/Casey the host. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then go to the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway video and follow the directions and the link in the description. Now, to the phone lines. Bonnie, welcome to the program.
Hi. I have a perfect example of bigotry and discrimination. I worked with a young lady for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And she's a white young lady married to an African man, always respected them.
Mm-hmm.
And one day out at the break table, I mean, just so casually, it rolled off her tongue that she hates white people. And here I am, a white girl, her friend for 4 years, and then she looked at me and she said, well, not all white people.
Uh-huh.
And the other day when I stewed on this for about 2 weeks, and I thought, I don't need friends like that. And at the break table, I said, I had brought it up. I don't know why you're mad at me. And I said, because of what you said. And she said, well, I didn't say, I told you I liked you. I said, but the thing is, it rolled off your tongue like you used this common.
It was a Freudian slip is what it was.
And she said, well, I do. And I said, well, I don't need that kind of person in my life who wants to keep this train rolling. I said, we need to live together.
Well, what's interesting about this is that, you know, she herself even said that what she's saying isn't true, but she doesn't care. She's going to go with it anyway. So she's, I hate white people, but you're white, right?
Exactly,
okay.
I am.
So she doesn't hate you. And then she admitted, well, I don't mean you. So she's acknowledging that you can't hate an entire group of people because there's going to be people that are obviously good people in there that you're going to enjoy their company. So, but yet she went back to it because she felt that it was probably it gives her the social justice credit score is what it is called. And if you can be a white person You do various things that give you extra points in the game of social justice credit score. And she's just building her credit score up with it. That's all. If you can be a white person and hate all white people, then by God, you must be the most woke of all woke people, and you're okay in the minds of non-whites. And that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to build acceptance by hating, her own kind, because she says she was white too, right?
Yes.
She's trying to gain acceptance with other races by hating her own race, and in an effort to prove in a smug fashion how woke she really is. But it's all nonsense. I mean, she knows it's not true. She's just trying to placate to a social justice mentality. But you're right. I would have cut her off too. There's no sense in being around somebody like that because, one, they're not intellectually honest. They certainly don't care about the character of an individual. They care more about the racial skin color of the individual anyway. And even if she does know that it's not true, she's willing to lie in order to gain acceptance to another group.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think a lot of her black associates at work kind of just, wow, how could you say that, And I've never done anything. I mean, I've been there for her. She comes to work crying when, they're in a physical altercation and nobody else to talk to. And I thought, I don't need this.
But Bonnie, she deserves it because she's white. So she, if they have a physical altercation and he does these things to her, if that's true, then, she deserves it because she's white. So it really, if she is able to cast off her whiteness, then maybe he won't be so destructive towards her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand, but, still, if you don't cherish your friendships, then I guess what's the point in it being one-sided?
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. It's okay to be proud to be white, and it's okay to be proud to be black. It's okay to be proud to be Latino. It's okay to be proud to be Asian or Persian or Arab or whatever it is. It's okay to be proud of that. This notion that you shouldn't be proud of who you are because it might offend somebody else is ridiculous. Of course, there's only one group that can't be proud of themselves. I have this funny meme that I share of the Power Rangers, and I want to take it to the next level because somebody left the black Power Ranger off, but it's like green power, pink power, and then they get to the white guy, and he's like, "Hey guys," because he can't say it. But it's okay to be proud of who you are. This notion that you're being proud of who you are means you hate other people is ridiculous. But that's where we're at. And look, she's been brainwashed. She's trying to find acceptance elsewhere. I don't know what to say. You did the right thing by cutting her off because you don't need that venom around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have to reach to a higher standard, I suppose. Well, and it's one thing to not like someone because of something, but my God, you don't have to tell them to their face. That's not me. I wouldn't tell you to your face that I don't like you because you're Asian.
No, it's ridiculous.
Hurting. That's so. Anyway, I appreciate that.
You're right, but it is racism. Even if it is coming from a white woman, it's absolutely racism, 100%.
And that's what I told her, and that's how I put the period at the end of that sentence.
There you go. Well, you shouldn't use periods. Periods are black. So don't do that. Okay. All right, Bonnie. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'll leave the page blank. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good.
You too. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but you too. Whenever somebody calls me a racist, which is like 10, 15 times a day, I have to remind them that most of the people that I hate are white. And I mean, honestly, like, right, Joe? I mean, you hear me, Walker. I complain about white people all the time. I hate all people. It's kind of where I'm at. I'm just a person hater. I prefer dogs. That's just me. Other people don't prefer dogs, and that's okay. You don't have to prefer dogs. It's fine. But this notion that all people of any group are bad is just, it's silly. It's 100%. This is why I get into it with some of you about Muslims. There are Muslims that I would take with me in a foxhole. I served with them. That I would take with me in a foxhole over any Christian any day of the week. And I know that they have my back and I trust them. And, again, some people who don't have that experience, I can appreciate that. All I'm telling you is that I do. And, there are people out there they don't like all of any group. There are people who really hate Christians. We're going to get to a Christian story here in just a second, by the way, of Christian discrimination. They hate Christians, hate Jews, they hate Muslims, they hate, the various racial demographics. Or people who hate women, there are people who hate men, there are people who hate transgenders, there are people who hate gays, but every single one of those groups has people within that group who hates the other groups. Everybody is a perpetuator and a victim of discrimination. When I say the things that I say about this, it goes against the norm, and the reason it goes against the norm is because, well, it's truthful and it's honest, and the standard fair story out there is that only one group of people is bad, and that group of people is white, heterosexual, Christian men. That's the only bad group that exists. Everybody else is good, with some exceptions within their group. But white, Christian, heterosexual men, they are consistently the devil in every sort of a social justice manual, course, diatribe, whatever you want to say. Those are the ones that are bad. But I've often told you the most discriminated against group in the country are men of all stripes. Men are the ones that they're safe game to go after, to insult, to criticize, to belittle, to damage. They're the safe ones that you can go after. It's just that if you were to break it down further, you end up finding out that the target du jour, the one that is the safest to attack, happens to be that one demographic. But we shouldn't be that way. It's there are absolute jerks in every single demographic category that you can think of, and you should identify the jerks as jerks instead of immediately running towards the now tepid and vacuous racist or bigot comment, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Yeah, everything is racism now. Everything is discrimination now, and when everything is, then nothing is. And so that's what we're at. That's why it's so easy to laugh at this stuff when people do it. You know, they still fall back on it. The social justice warriors still fall back on it as if it's somehow effective. It's not effective. I mean, it's effective with weak people, but it's not effective to anybody else. Now, you can just, okay, whatever, you called me racist. Ooh, that was original. I haven't heard that one before. Anyway, we got more coming up. I'm going to tell you about this Christian story. There's another case of Christian discrimination that was settled in a court of law. We'll talk about that next on 95.3 MNC.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. MNC. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. 95.3MNC.com.
That's funny, Mike, because Christians are constantly telling everybody that they're not Catholic, too. That's funny.
Says the 2018-19 iLearn proficiency test results will be released next week.
You know what I mean.
But does say the results will show a decrease compared to the previously administered iStep test. Since this is the first year,
I step, you step, we all step, or I step.
Harmless, so the test scores don't hurt teacher evaluations and schools' letter grades for the 2018-19 school year. India moved to the new test to comply with federal requirements.
Well, Attila, and I've said this before, but not you, okay, years ago, when I had a co-host, she didn't believe me that men were the most discriminated against group in the country. She didn't believe me. And I said, look, here's the deal. Because she's a reasonable person. She's very level-headed, and she will analyze something. So I said, here's the deal. Go home. Over the next week, I want you to watch your primetime television shows like you always do. She was always a sitcom freak. I said, watch the shows. And I want you to pay very, very close attention to how they react to the chief male character and even his sidekick male, right? There's always the sidekick guy that's in the group. I said, you watch them and you watch how many dumb men jokes are cracked in that show. The women are always bright and intelligent. The guys are always stupid, insensitive, Neanderthals. They're the ones that always have to apologize for the major life lesson screw up that happened in the show and everything else. So you watch it for a week and you get back with me. She came back the next day. She didn't even get 2 days into this. She goes, I had no idea. And she said, I was watching it, and so much of it was just anti-man joke, anti-man joke, anti-man joke, and it was every single show, and it didn't stop. She's like, I had no idea it was that prevalent. So if you can find somebody who's reasonable and level-headed enough, they can look at that, and they will see it. They will 100% see it. Now, that doesn't mean that men are the most discriminated against in the workplace. I'm just saying it's societally accepted to attack men. And that's, unfortunately, the reality.
Bye to you too.
Didn't take long. I knew somebody was going to say, I thought periods were red. Ha ha.
News protected by ZX Gun, your single source for personal protection. Visit them on 3rd Street in Goshen.
Please explain what a meme is. And they misspelled meme. It's MEEM in their text. I don't have a clue. Happened to me with a purple dinosaur named Barney. I never heard of him for years. BattleBots is on Friday nights on Discovery Channel. Thank you. BattleBots. Oh, Jesus, Sam. Here we go. Here we go. We got the caveman sexist jokes coming out now. Just don't get me fired. I already had one meeting today. I don't need another one. If we're going to do the sexist jokes, ladies, you got to come back with some stuff.
I love talking markets with anyone who will listen. So give me a call at 574-566-2113.
Exactly, Alex. What is this meme you speak of?
Fox Business Report, powered by Home Comfort Experts, plumbing, heating, and cooling. Keep your hard-working AC running smooth.
Oh my God, Sam. Jeez, man. Some lady out there has got to have a good one. Come on, there's got to be a comeback, ladies. I'm looking to you.
The Dow closing up 270 points, the Nasdaq adding 102, and the S&P 500 gaining 31. More good news for your gas tank and your wallet. AAA says the average price for a gas dropped 15 cents in the last 5 weeks and will likely become even cheaper this fall because of lower crude oil costs. It's that time of year again for coffee drinks with a special fall flavor. Starbucks pumpkin spice latte returns tomorrow, but this time the cult classic.
Did you see they're going to do a pumpkin spice spam? You see that? You see that? And I don't think it's fake. I think it's real. Sam has been banned.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/joy. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication. And the pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
When I got my cancer diagnosis, I turned to Goshen Center for Cancer Care. And right from the start, I knew I'd made the right choice. At Goshen, I have a whole team of specialists.
Did you hear about those 3 guys from Goshen who made an app that's like TurboTax, but it's for your like climate footprint?
Here, I have doctors who take time to answer my questions and get to know my family.
Naturopathic medicine and counseling that nurtures my body and soul. And financial counselors who work with my insurance company and help me find resources like copay assistance.
Pumpkin spice is gross. And all women deserve to be made fun of for enjoying it.
Because they're not just focused.
Johnson & Johnson must pay $572 million in Oklahoma opioid crisis. Well, there is that.
This message is for all those stream-happy, data-loving.
What do we got here?
Millennials, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the generation that brought you into this world.
What?
That's right. If you've ever raised a pet rock, rocked an 8-track, or lit a lava lamp, then you'll want to hear this. Introducing Unlimited 55, only from T-Mobile. If you're 55 or older, you can get 2 lines of unlimited everything for just $70 a month with autopay. That's right, 2 unlimited lines, just $70. All fees included. So go ahead, embarrass your kids with another.
Okay, here we go.
Or crank your playlist to 11 because T-Mobile's got.
Oh man, I will murder some pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is like the greatest damn thing in the world. But this pumpkin spice everything is. The worst taste test we ever did was that pumpkin spice episode. That was the worst one. Like there's no good that came from that. I mean the cereal and All right. Here we go.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right, here's the deal. Ladies, I need your help. Okay. After the last segment, some funny jokes have now been surfacing on the live stream. So what I need, though, I'm lacking adequate female jokes about men. So I have a couple, but they're not as funny coming from another dude. So ladies, if you hop onto the live stream at youtube.com/CaseyTheHost or twitch.tv/CaseyTheHost, please drop your funniest guy joke, your sexist guy jokes. Because the guys that are on the stream have had a couple of pretty funny, by the way, sexist jokes against women, but I need the women to balance that. That way I don't get any more trouble from YouTube or my boss or anybody else. So again, go to youtube.com/CaseyTheHost, hop into the stream there, and drop your funniest sexist guy joke. This is all in good fun, all right? Good jokes are hard to come by, so anytime you have them, please, by all means, to go ahead and drop them in there. All right, 574-25-95-95.3. That's 2595-953. Where did it go? Hold on a second. Where was it? I just saw it. There it is. Okay. So we've got another case of same-sex wedding litigation. Okay. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals has halted. This is the Epoch Times, by the way. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals has halted the expanding reach of non-discrimination laws last week by ruling that Christian videographers in Minnesota, don't you know, who believe in traditional marriage cannot be compelled under the state's aggressive human rights law to produce videos of same-sex weddings. Now, again, you shouldn't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. And frankly, it would be silly for you to want them to be there if they don't really want to be there anyway. If I were a videographer and I were recording weddings, I wouldn't have any issue with this. But if that's a big deal for them, then so be it. You know, let them conduct their business the way that they want to conduct business, and let other businesses in the area who are willing to do it, let them rise up. In Telescope Media Group versus Lucero, decided on August 23rd, a 3-judge panel of the appeals court found an appeal from the U.S. District Court in Minneapolis that even anti-discrimination laws, as critically important as they are, must yield to the Constitution. Yay. Wow, we got a 3-judge panel that actually gets it. This is the thing. The U.S. Constitution says that you have these rights, and among them is religious liberty. It's one of the first things that they do. So you can't have a law that takes away one of those fundamental rights that you are guaranteed in the Constitution. You can't have that, and that's what's been happening all over the country. That's been the issue. Now, it's okay in the public square. You know, if the people who are involved in this case go, can you believe these folks would not do my wedding because they don't like my marriage to my spouse and everything, and you want to engage in it in the public square, that's fine. I think that they get out of control. I think this mob mentality stuff is ridiculous, and the New York Times is hitting blowback on that. We'll talk about that later. But there's at least a public square. There's people who are talking about it. There's no actual courts. There's no government involved. And if people don't want to do your wedding, then people don't want to do your wedding. It's okay for you to go, these people suck because they wouldn't do my wedding, and then let the free market do what it does. But to hold people legally responsible for not wanting to participate in your party is still ridiculous. To force Carl and Angel Larson, a married couple with 8 children, holy smokes, to film a ceremony that goes against their conscience would be to unconstitutionally force speech upon them, according to the majority opinion written by Judge David Strauss, an appointee of President Donald Trump, and concurred by Judge Bobby Shepard, an appointee of former President George W. Bush, which means, of course, they're right-wingers. Anyway, attorneys from Minnesota argued that the Minnesota Human Rights Act, violations of which may be punished with fines or imprisonment, required not only that the Larsons produce both opposite sex and same-sex wedding videos, or none at all, but that such videos must place both kinds of weddings in an equally positive light. So this is the like the public square argument, okay? So if you offer a service to the public, you must offer it to everybody in the public, which, by the way, is not applied universally. It is only applied in certain limited circumstances, which is always kind of interesting. Give you an example. If you provide service to people to buy a slushie, well, then you can't deny service to people who don't want to wear a shirt. If you're a restaurant and you serve food to people, you can't require that people dress a certain way to get that food. You notice that that's not applied to the same standard as it is with this case. Now, we're dealing with protected classes versus, relatively mundane things, but it's still the same principle. According to Minnesota, failing to do so constitutes unlawful discrimination against prospective customers based on their sexual orientation. According to Strauss, the Larsons view marriage as a sacrificial covenant between one man and one woman. The court works with all people, regardless of their race, sexual orientation, sex, religious beliefs, or any other classification, but will not accept requests for services that contradict their religious beliefs. And the court upheld that is their constitutional right to deny service if it violates their closely held beliefs. That is the right decision. I wish we had more of that. Like I said, it's okay in the public to debate whether or not these businesses should be boycotted or criticized or publicly shamed or what have you. It's when you get a government involved to punish somebody for their beliefs. That's where we start having an issue, especially if those beliefs happen to be religious. And next, I'm going to tell you about your political beliefs and how that might limit your hiring opportunities if you go out there looking for a job. Talk about that coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Hazel Dizzle Rizzle. I'm going to grab a warm-up. So I'm going to play a commercial for you. I'm going to grab a warm-up on my coffee. I will be back in just a minute. All right, what's up, everybody? Casey here. So I'm getting ready to start the show, and I'm just doing this with my phone, so it doesn't look as good as it usually does. But anyway, I wanted to let you know that I've started the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway. As most of you know who followed the stream, I was going to go ahead and give away some Black Rifle Coffee if we got to 2,000 subscribers at the end of July, and we have beaten that goal. We're at 2,070 right now. So, one, thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. The more we can grow the channel, the better. And by the way, that means that I get to do awesome things like this for all of you. So I have 2 bags of Black Rifle Coffee Liberty Blend, okay? 2 bags that I am going to be giving away to 2 listeners. So I'm going to have 2 winners. Each one's going to get 1 bag. So here's the deal. I have a link that is on my Facebook page. It's in contest giveaway, my tabs. You can see that. I have a blog post at theburningtruth.us, and I will put the link to the contest in the description of this video, okay? There is really only one rule. The rule is you must be a subscriber of my YouTube channel, all right? Liking a video, commenting on a video, don't count. You have to actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can get extra entries by liking me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, that sort of stuff. But you don't have to do those if you don't want to. Additionally, in the contest, I have included a coupon code that'll get you 20% off your very first Black Rifle subscription. That is for a bag or 2. That is not for the Coffee Club membership. And again, you get 20% off and use my coupon code to be able to do that. That helps me out. When you place your order, they give me a couple of bucks towards my membership, that sort of thing, but it's really not a big deal. But anyway, it's, if you don't want to enter the contest, that's totally fine. Use that link. That'll still help me out and also help you out getting great coffee at a big discount. So once again, you must be a subscriber of my YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe, you are disqualified. Doesn't matter if you go through all the steps for the other stuff as well. Okay, that's the only mandatory step in order to go ahead and get qualified for this contest. All right, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck, and thank you so much for the support. I've got a meeting here before the show, and then we'll be able to launch the show here at 3 o'clock. So once again, thank you very much. Good. You didn't see me get burned by my coffee. Ha ha ha. Damn, man. All right. Stuff and things and stuff. Got 5 lurkers hanging out on the Twitch. Whomever you are, hello.
Call me at 574-294-5699.
5, 6, 7, 8. I buy inherited houses, houses behind them payment houses.
Yeah, I had to hold the phone, so I was like holding the phone like right here, and I couldn't like get a natural angle, and I just had to record it real quick. So I'm right up in your grill on that video.
Abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today.
Woo! This dude's gonna make a cash offer on your house today. Today. Damn, Joe. You should sell your parents' home.
We don't own our home.
Yeah, but you could sell it anyway.
No.
He said if your tenant doesn't pay the rent.
We are the tenants.
You can do it. You can do it. Ooh, I just got permission to go on a mandate. Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna smoke a stogie.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right. Where did the hiring story go? I'm having an issue with pop-ups on a couple of websites, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not the normal pop-ups, it's the pop-ups that they send you to a different website in that window, but then they open the website you were on in a different window. So when you go to close it, it just it goes ahead and messes everything up. So you're actually closing, and you think you're closing the ad, but you're really closing the website with the article that you're looking at, and because of that, it is causing an annoyance. Because I ran into this study that was saying that hiring managers were not hiring Trump supporters, and there was a significant number of them that were unwilling to hire Trump supporters. I'm trying to get the exact article opened up again. I got to find it. My show prep is massive, so it's like I don't have a whole easy system to get into. So there we go. All right. 1 out of 5 hiring managers will not hire Trump supporters. So you want to talk about, discrimination? Well, there is political discrimination, and we've talked about it in restaurants. It's always interesting that you have one side that says, hey, look, you are going to be charged more if you have this political belief. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. And then the moment a Republican or a conservative owned business does the same thing, everybody has a conniption fit because it's all hypocrisy. But this is the Washington Examiner. Workplace bias. 1 in 5 managers will not hire pro-Trump workers. Now, I'm generally not in favor of protected classes. And yet I find myself being in favor of protecting people on a political basis. And we've just, unfortunately, in the past couple of years, and I never really felt that would come to fruition. But in the past couple of years, we have seen discrimination against your political beliefs like never before. Most people, I honestly think a lot of people would put it on the application, the job application, if they really could get away with it. American workers who like President Trump face sweeping bias against them, with some managers refusing to hire his supporters and those already employed facing discrimination and mockery, according to a new study. Now, we already know that this happens in Silicon Valley. We know it happens in Hollywood, but it happens all over the country, apparently. In a survey of hiring managers and workers shared with Secrets, the marketing firm Airtasker found that left-leaning firms are especially anti-Trump, with 20% vowing to reject a job candidate who backs the president. Like I said, how does that come up in the meeting? Now, first of all, probably don't show up at a job interview with political paraphernalia on you. I mean, that should go probably for everybody, be perfectly honest with you. Maybe with the exception of you Ron Paul guys, because you are convinced that you have broad appeal. Those who support Trump, who are already in the workplace, face substantial mockery, including name-calling. The survey listed the responses to several examples of what pro-Trump workers face. 28% joking about them, 23% overly critical of them. And by the way, you're not allowed to punch these people in the face. So they crack jokes about you. You can't like bash their head in a door or something like that, which you should be able to do. If you allowed somebody to do that, if they mock you for your political beliefs and you are to be able to slam their face through a window, then I would be okay with allowing people to mock you, because at least there's a recourse. But otherwise, you're just being harassed at work. 21% being dismissive of them, and 11% face name calling right to their face. The survey found that even more than Trump, a job candidate's view on race and gender politics will help or hurt their chances of getting a job. And it found for example, that 65% of hiring managers want to know a job candidate's position on race, and that 29% will reject a candidate if their position isn't in line with the managers. What is your position on race? What kind of race? Like human race, or are we talking skin color? Skin color. Yeah, there are multiple races. No. I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Yeah, they exist, and there's several different varieties. It's just, I would keep your answers in your interviews to the absolute most nebulous you can. Let's see. The majority of hiring managers said that it was important to understand a candidate's stance on racial equality, 65%, gender equality, 59%, LGBTQ plus rights, 54%, and another 38% felt the same about immigration, and 32% would want to know about an applicant's politics, according to a survey. What if, ladies and gentlemen, because this is obviously unacceptable in the work environment, you should not have any of this discrimination happening. What if we get to a point where Republicans and conservatives become pro-union because of this? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I'm literally just throwing it out. Now, I'm not saying that the current union structure would allow that. I'm just, what if unionizing to protect against political rights becomes a thing if it isn't added into the protected class code? It's a possibility. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyway, Joe, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hi. I got on quicker than I thought, so I got to pull over. I was driving.
Okay. Well, I had to get you on because we're going to be bouncing out for commercial soon, and I wanted to make sure that I got
you. But I got to tell you, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about race. This is not a black and a white country anymore. This is a country of all sorts of people, of all sorts of values and everything else. And I'm just tired of hearing about it. And you can't be accused of being a racist anymore. Now you're a white supremacist.
Right.
And I'm just sick of it. And it's not, like Rush always said, it's not a zero-sum game. If blacks achieve and they do well, it's not anything against me. I'm not hurting them, or they're not hurting me. And I just wish the whole narrative would change.
I do too.
I'm sick of it.
But we may get to a point now where there has to be some organized effort, whether that's government or union based. I don't know. But right now, I mean, you're getting to a point here where, a quarter of hiring managers are saying, no, we're not going to hire you based on your politics.
I would love to have that debate. And, luckily I don't need a job. I run my own business. I wouldn't worry about that. I welcome discussions all the time. That's why I'm on the radio.
I hear you. So, hey, Joe, I got to roll, man. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Thanks for being safe, for calling us, too, by pulling over. Allegedly pulling over, anyway. All right, folks, we got a lot more to get to, even though we only have an hour left. Another busy weekend. More coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
All right, what do we got here? Yeah, I don't like the way I look without a beard. I miss me beard.
Crohn's. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and President Trump could meet in a matter of weeks. President Trump did not announce anything yet scheduled, but says he is willing.
I forgot to take my allergy meds today, and I have been sniffing and burning eyes all day long. So I had to come in for a scary meeting.
France this weekend. President Trump did not attend that meeting, but says he would meet with Rouhani if circumstances were correct.
Whole bunch of fear about me not being here anymore. Whole bunch of that stuff.
Fox's Gernal Scott joins us live. Rich District Judge Thad Bachman ruled today that Johnson & Johnson bears responsibility for misleading marketing when it came to opioids.
Including a finding that those actions compromise the health and safety of thousands of Oklahomans.
Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter called it a just verdict.
Casey, there are many women on dating sites who put no Trump supporters on their profile pages. Well, yeah, I mean, and look, I don't have an issue with that. You know, that's dating. You should not be denying people employment based on their political beliefs. But, you know, most successful relationships share some basic commonalities. Shared religious beliefs, shared life goals, and shared political beliefs are among them. There are people who can have a successful relationship who have differing political beliefs. I know a lot of people who married their political opposite, but they have to be willing to not engage with one another over that. And as long as they're willing to put that aside and not have those discussions on a regular basis, they'll be just fine.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, and 95.3MNC.com.
I'm Tommy Lee, the MNC News Center, and one of our top stories this afternoon, a man who was badly injured last year after being shot by a South Bend police officer claims in a lawsuit he was the victim of excessive...
Hey, Al's finally following me on Instagram. Thanks, bud.
From the March 2018 shooting. South Bend also faces a lawsuit over the June shooting death of Eric Logan. Investigators say Eppinger began hitting the officer, who responded when Eppinger refused to leave a duplex. They fell to the ground, and the officer...
Does this have to be playing for me to do? Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so on the live event thing, to do the highlights, it has to be playing. So I have to have the video playing. If the video is paused, I can't do a highlight. So the video has to be playing for me to be able to go ahead and create the highlight. Huh. I would, Sam. I would just sue. Lefties have rights. All right, so
that's the best you can come up with, basically.
What?
Lefties have rights.
Yeah, sure. Why not? What do you mean I've been signed out? Why am I signed out? You suck, YouTube. Sorry. So they have this broadcast alert thing. So when you're on a commercial break, you should be able to put like, hey, we'll be right back. And it should send the alert. But it wouldn't send the alert. And then it told me I got signed out of YouTube. But I'm not signed out of YouTube. I'm staring at my profile on YouTube. Everything is aggravating. What's up, Lumberjacks and Tracy and Blue? Tracy called me a hoe on Twitch. You believe that crap? I haven't been a hoe for at least 15 years. I'm abstinent now. I'm married. All right, so let's see. Okay, we'll be right back. Please stand by. Turn on. Are you sure you want to set the broadcast alert? Yes. An error occurred when trying to modify your live event. You may have been signed out. Please refresh the page. See, and I don't even get the broadcast alerts. They don't even seem to make any damn sense. I don't know. Whatever. YouTube sucks.
Don't worry about putting it all together for the party tonight. At Judy's, you can work with a specially trained associate or Judy girl to provide a personal color and style analysis. They won't let you leave the store with something that's just right for you and your event. Judy's So Long Summer Sale, 50% to 80% off spring, summer, and more. Now through September 7th at LaPorte, Granger, and Valparaiso.
Is there a hoe emoji? There should be a hoe emoji. I'm just gonna look. Hoe. Well, Santa came up. Does that count? Yeah, I did hoe. And there's actually there's 12 emojis. No. There is 14 emojis.
More freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving. Built Ford proud.
Tis funny.
Visit your participating Ford dealership.
All right, what about an actual hoe, the tool? No, they don't have the tool, though. They got 14 emojis for hoe, but not for hoe. Millennials.
Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions.
There. There's a can of something.
Smartphone platforms is available via download.
All right, stuff and things. Here we go.
Phase. Industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595. 95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Do want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range. Again, Tactical Training Systems is going to Second Amendment Arms and Range again on the 31st of August. So you've just got a few days. And they're going to do an advanced handgun course. So if you are a proficient shooter, but you want to take your game to the next level, this is for you. Okay, the advanced handgun course is going to do target acquisition, various stances, tactical reloading, one-hand reloading, acquiring your targets, a whole host of stuff. And it's going to be from 9 a.m. To 5 p.m. Okay, so this is going to be a nice extended course for you. You're going to come out of this class a much better shooter, a much more proficient and intelligent shooter than you were before you went in. And again, go to secondamendmentarms.net for more information, or you can contact them over the phone or in person. All right, so we've got several things to discuss. I'm just going to start off with this one. My hometown is Lancaster, California. Not Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Lancaster, California. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because last week there was a sniper shooting of a police officer in Lancaster, California. So anytime I see something like this in the news, I'm obviously drawn to it, given that this is my hometown. A Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputy who was reportedly shot in Lancaster made up the incident. He fabricated it. It did not happen. This is all over national news last week. Authorities announced during a rare Saturday night news conference the deputy claimed that he was shot in the shoulder Wednesday, which triggered a massive manhunt and evacuations of an apartment complex next to the agency's Lancaster station. Deputy Angel Reynosa, 21 years old, had 2 bullet holes in his shirt the day that he claimed that he was shot by a sniper. Now, as I was watching this unfold, and they were doing the manhunt, which I think was Wednesday. I'm watching this unfold, and they said that his body armor saved his life. So, I mean, there's a part of me that was going, that must have been, pretty far away if we're talking about a sniper and, body armor and that sort of thing. But anyway, I was watching it. He was heard calling in the shooting over emergency radio signals. I have taken shots from the north of the Lancaster helipad. The deputy is heard saying over the radio, I think I'm hit in the right shoulder. When investigators met with Reynosa on Saturday for a follow-up interview about the incident, they saw no visible injuries on his shoulder. Officials said that Reynosa confessed to cutting holes in his shirt with a knife and that he was never shot. What in the heck is happening? Okay, let's run down the ways that this is dumb. You say you took sniper fire. We have a press conference that says that his body armor saved his life, but now we're finding out that there was no bullet in his body armor and that he had bullet holes in his shoulder. Did nobody actually see him? If you're shot in the shoulder, which obviously misses your vest, if you're shot in the shoulder, you have holes and you have blood. Did nobody see that he wasn't bleeding? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. Nobody saw the guy? Like he says, like, hey, I'm being shot. I've been hit in the shoulder. That's what. There's nobody that checks on him. They all go to the area. They look for the sniper and everything else. I mean, I assume that he does the whole I'm going to the hospital thing. Okay. So somebody's going to meet you at the hospital, right? And then what? He doesn't show up. He doesn't have a bullet hole in there. Come to find out, he just cut holes in his shirt. How do they miss this? Never mind the dumbness and the stupidity here on him. Forget the fact that this is just wrong to do. But he knew that eventually somebody was going to see that he didn't have any actual wounds. So why didn't he shoot himself in the shoulder? I don't know. Maybe he thought the ballistics would be a thing, or I don't know. Folks, I have no idea what is happening here. There's huge problems with him, obviously. He's probably deranged, but you've got ineptness, I think, in the police department. There was no sniper, no shots fired, no gunshot injury sustained to his shoulder, completely fabricated. That is Captain Ken Wegner of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Reynosa, was expected to be relieved of his duty and will face criminal charges for filing a false police report of an emergency. Motive has not been determined. He's crazy. He's crazy. Now, we have seen police officers kind of run around and fabricate that somebody spit in their food and go after restaurants and things like that. We had a couple of stories of that and gets national attention. Police department pitches a fit. But again, hey, what do police officers do, Joe, when there's been a crime? What's the first thing they look for when there's been a crime? Motive, and then what kind of evidence might they look for? Physical evidence. Could, I don't know, surveillance footage be physical evidence? So if you're a police officer, one of the first things you ask for is there a camera, right? So why would you fabricate that somebody spit in your food if you go into a fast food restaurant? Why would you do that? There's cameras everywhere. An officer should know that, right? And this guy, like I said, this is my hometown. This is where I was born. This guy cuts 2 holes in his shoulder, the clothing of his shoulder, not his actual shoulder. But nobody noticed it for Thursday, Friday, 3 days? For 3 days, nobody noticed that this guy was not shot in the shoulder? How does that happen? And typically, when an officer is shot, there is somebody that goes to the hospital to take their report and to take their statement. And I would have assumed that would have happened in Lancaster, but apparently not, because nobody noticed that he wasn't shot in the shoulder that day. And yet the manhunt and the press conferences and everything else continued. I was sitting there watching the press conference here. I had some family that was on the live stream, and so I was relaying what was happening to them, because obviously we all have an interest in it, being a hometown and everything. But I'm like, oh yeah, it came from the apartments. Apparently he was a sniper, but his body armor held him, so it must have been far away. I'm looking at this whole story, and it turns out that this cop just manufactured the entire thing. Makes no sense. Again, no motive or anything else. He's going to be fired. He's going to be arrested. He's going to be charged with filing a false report of an emergency. I don't know if there is something else that would, add to his charges here with him being a law enforcement officer fabricating this stuff. I have no idea. The LA County District Attorney's Office will determine whether or not Reynosa will face additional charges. Most of his statements were self-serving, didn't make a lot of sense, and he didn't get into detail as to why he cut the holes or why he fabricated this story. No motivation whatsoever, according to the captain. No clue. So, again, love law enforcement. and we'll talk a little bit about the op-ed that was in the South Bend Tribune, which was a response to the op-ed that I got in trouble for criticizing a week or so ago. But you do have officers who do bad things. This is clearly one of them. It's an example. And when you catch them, you have got to punish them. And that is exactly what they are doing. Thank God. I for the life of me, I can't figure out why it took them 3 days to figure out that this guy didn't have 2 bullet holes in his shoulder. Anyway, this is your last opportunity to register to win the Black Rifle Coffee. So here's what you have to do. Go to youtube.com/Casey the host. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Now, for the vast majority of you, when you go to my YouTube channel, the video that auto plays will be the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway video. All right. In the description of that video, there is a link. You click that link. That link, if you are a subscriber on YouTube, will register you for the contest. I'm doing the drawing here in just a couple of days. I want to get this done before I go on vacation. So on the 28th is the last day. So just do this now. And the link will give you opportunities to give yourself more entries into the contest, which will increase the likelihood that you win. So you don't have to do those. The only requirement is that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. So go to youtube.com/Casey the host. If the video that plays for you is not the Black Rifle Coffee video, then all you have to do is do a search for Black Rifle Coffee. Just go to the giveaway video. The link will be right in there with all of the instructions. Again, really easy. The only requirement is that you be a subscriber on YouTube. So click the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button on the live stream while you're there and ring the bell icon. So just click on that bell icon, select all notifications so I can send you a notification every time I go live and anytime I upload a video. That way you'll know when I'm live. Okay, so go check that out. Again, youtube.com/Casey the host. More coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Jesus, Casey, what's wrong with me? Oh, and we have no paper towels anywhere because they don't have any paper towels in the bathroom. Now I have less caffeine in my system, Joe. At least the toilet got fixed. I finally got the toilet fixed. It took me a while, but I got it fixed. I am the hero that this company needs. They don't want it, but they need it. That was a whole damn cup of coffee. It's all right. It's not like there's...
I don't even remember what we were talking.
It's not like there's hundreds of dollars of broadcast equipment here.
No. Michiana's news
Not thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of dollars.
Can I answer your calling about
He's on a budget. This is my paper towel system. Mark does some things good occasionally.
I'm sorry.
He steals giant rolls of toilet paper and brings them into the studio.
An accident. Okay.
Dude, this is all the way on your end, brother.
Around 17. Okay.
This is bad. It's real bad.
I will get that out there as soon as I can.
Save the board, Joe, and hang up. Right, we're going to die. You're going to get electrocuted.
We're all going to die eventually.
You're going to get zapped, and I don't have a camera on you. I need the clicks.
Whose fault is that?
Well, I mean, you always look so bored and disinterested. So I didn't want to make you feel obligated to be entertaining.
I was entertaining that one time the caller called in and just wouldn't stop bitching at me. They all
That was pretty funny. That was good. Wow, that is a lot of damn coffee. I have never spilled a full cup of coffee, I don't think, ever.
From plant wiring, service upgrades, energy-efficient lighting, and commercial solutions for every industry. Let us take the guesswork out of your project.
Can I be like one of those Japanese girls who gets paid to clean?
No.
And get tips? Hey, go to the support the stream link in the description and donate to me while I clean up my coffee and hope that Joe doesn't get electrocuted.
All you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free.
You know, you wouldn't have to worry about being electrocuted if we had a modern board.
Them for you.
You know, that has electronics that
I'd rather get
keep moisture out.
I'd rather get updated software first.
What? There's no such thing as updated software. That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, technically, we're liable.
Oh, yes, we are. I sent that email.
I'll get right on that.
I got a very enthusiastic, thank you so much for the information.
The smartest way to hire. And right now,
Okay. There was, dude, there's a friggin' lake underneath my keyboard. This is, all right. Don't tell anybody that this happened. If Mark gets shocked and electrocuted tomorrow morning, I expect silence and loyalty from my audience. Do you understand? Science and loyalty. Silence and loyalty. I'm supposed to be on vacation this week, damn it. Hey, it's a Ninja Golf commercial. That place is friggin' awesome, by the way. My daughter is begging me to go do the laser thing. We didn't do it last time we were there. I think it is mostly saved. That was seriously a whole damn cup of coffee.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Again, I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 25-95-953. Let's tear this off of here. All right. Our next Pass the Mic event with yours truly is set for 12 noon this Friday at Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. As always, I'm going to cover the hottest topics, including the campaign, latest moves of the president, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I am going to have a special guest. So here's the thing. You have made it crystal clear to me over the past year or so that you are highly intrigued with my doctor and the plan that we have for getting medical care. It is extremely cheap, and yet we get to go to the doctor as much as we want. It's way better than any insurance plan that you have now. So I've invited her to be my guest to tell you about direct primary care. All right. So if you have questions about my doctor, my medical plan, how that works, why is it so cheap, how does it work with insurance? Because a lot of you think that it's insurance. It's not insurance. So how does it work with your insurance and that sort of thing? She will be there to answer those questions. Okay. It's not meant to be an infomercial for her business. Okay. I'm not there to give you a pitch or anything like that. But you have been so interested in her. Every time I mention her, I get inundated with requests for information and contact stuff. So I've invited her to come out on Friday, and she will be my special guest to go ahead and talk with you about what direct primary care is and how it can help you and your family. Okay. So that is this Friday, noon, Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. Of course, we'll have the specially priced menu that you'll be able to enjoy some of my favorite dishes over there. But I look forward to seeing you this Friday at noon at Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill. No, don't ask me to record it. Show up or don't get the information. That's it. All right, I always get that request too. You going to record it, put it online? No, because every time I do that, less of you come out. All right, 574-25-95-95.3. That's 25-95-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. And please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right. So there is a Viewpoint article in South Bend Tribune. Now, as you know, somebody wrote an article. I thought it was last week. Maybe it was a little bit before that. Somebody wrote an article in the South Bend Tribune on behalf of the brother of Eric Logan. Eric Logan's the guy who pulled the knife on the cop, got shot, and unfortunately died. Okay. So the article basically said that South Bend police should not be armed if they go to these community events, which, of course, they're required to go to now because they're not allowed to say, no, these are stupid. And they have to get yelled at by all of these dumb community activists who don't really care about mending the bridge between police and community, but really they just care about taking away police power and embarrassing the police department and grumbling and griping about things that are not worth grumbling or griping about. Many of them, again, want their names in the paper, and some of them are hoping to spur a nice little social justice career out of it and get some ducats and some dough. So anyway, I called the author of that article a pathetic snowflake for saying that police should not be armed at these events and that it was intimidating and insensitive. And it proved that the police didn't trust the community. And as I pointed out before, I mean, look, okay, do you lock your doors? Well, if you do lock your doors, then you don't trust the community either. So why should the police department? But I also pointed out that the police are required to be armed. They're not allowed to leave their guns at home. And if they were allowed to leave their guns at home when they're off duty, I don't know any officer who would. I've never met a police officer who will be running around, getting home and go, oh, thank God it's my day off. I get to leave my boomstick at home. I don't have to carry it with me today. It's so burdensome to have that around. I can't wait to be walking around in gun-free zones today as a cop unarmed. I don't know anybody who thinks that way. And they also were trying to say that both on and off-duty police officers should not be armed. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It was a dumb article written by an idiot on behalf of an idiot who's the brother of an idiot who drew a knife on a cop and died. That's what it was. And I did a poll on it just to make sure that I didn't go too far. And 98 or 97% of you said, no, Casey, you didn't go too far. You were right on the money. So when I called them pathetic snowflakes. So anyway, we have an article from Troy Warner. He wrote in response, in more eloquent, less accurate terms than mine, and I say that facetiously, of course. He wrote a response to the article that was written by the guy who wrote on behalf of the brother, on behalf of, you know what I mean. So anyway, Troy Warner is the attorney for the St. Joseph County Police Department. So he has some knowledge here on what is actually happening. Says, I am writing in response to the viewpoint expressing the opinion South Bend police officers should not wear their department sidearms to the SBPD community meetings. I am the attorney of the St. Joseph County Police Department, and we've recently heard similar statements about sidearms when the sheriff and our county officers attend community meetings. The opinion article and the statements are made in a vacuum and do not take into consideration the situations and legal requirements our police officers must deal with. Now, he continues. The opinion writer states, regardless of on-duty or off-duty, the police wearing their sidearms was done out of insensitivity, possible intimidation, and that police, quote, distrust us enough to wear firearms. Like I said, do any of you lock your doors? In one aspect, one point the writer makes is correct. Whether the officers were off-duty or on-duty does not matter. Our police officers are required by department rules to wear a sidearm, whether off-duty or on-duty. Again, told you. You might wonder why that rule exists. The rule exists because our officers are always on call. Again, told you. Department rules require them to listen to police radio traffic and respond when a crisis occurs, and the department needs additional officers. Also, it is common for an off-duty officer to witness or come across an incident such as theft or car accident, which requires some action by the off-duty officer. Many dispatch calls for service come from an off-duty officer radioing in dispatch for an on-duty officer. And most crucially, regardless of whether on-duty or off-duty, an officer can face potential criminal charges, discipline, or civil litigation for a failing to act to an incident. They are legally required to act whether on or off duty. Our officers cannot risk being unable to take action. The families and friends of our officers will tell you that they are never really off duty. Okay, I'm going to cut some of this stuff out for time purposes, but again, I told you all of this, and frankly, everybody should know it. All right, it really isn't brain surgery. This is nothing that is secret or anything like that. I'm not, pulling up the lost scrolls or anything of that nature. You should know this information. As for the statement that police distrust us enough to wear firearms, this is divisive and counterproductive and is made without listening or understanding of legal requirements on police officers. Police officers have a greater understanding of our own community than most of us. They go everywhere in our community, see people in their darkest hour, and are witnesses to great tragedy and horrible trauma. I also attended this meeting. Many of the comments at the meeting were made with little understanding of the legal requirements or the discipline process The police officers ignored the reality of situations our officers deal with every day and spread misinformation. And again, that is because these people are there to make a name for themselves, not to actually bridge the gap. At the end of the meeting, the comment that more police officers should be here was made to the whole gym. I agree. More officers need to talk about what they go through each day and why they do what they do. However, the community and activists must also listen and attempt to understand, which of course they're not trying to do. None of them are attempting to understand. If you listen to how that devolved last week, which we covered, it is simply about attacking the police department, attacking specific members of the police department. Members of the police department had nothing to do with the incident that happened, by the way, and going after them and trying to embarrass them, all while building a name for yourself. And there's no coincidence that a lot of the names that the South Bend Tribune says you have to keep an eye on these civil activists, that a lot of them show up at these meetings. And a lot of them are the ones that are making a ruckus and storming out in this theatrical display of peacocking. Our community will only heal when the listening and understanding are two-way. The police department is listening and attempting to understand those pushing for change. However, those pushing for change must also listen and attempt to understand the police department or its officers. Of course, they're not. It's that simple. And I'm going to leave you the same question I left the 3 o'clock hour. The South Bend Police Department is running around mowing people's lawns this week. How many of these activists do you think are going to help clean up their community by helping those officers mow lawns? Yeah, I thought so. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the subscription, Chuck. I appreciate that. God, I still got coffee friggin' everywhere. Everything's wet. And not in a good way. In a coffee way. A spilled coffee way. I have one sip of soot-filled coffee left. It's everywhere. It's like underneath all of the equipment. I may have saved the company by destroying all of our equipment. Because then they'll be forced to get new stuff, right?
Out of your paycheck, baby.
No. And that was the last sip that I can have, and it was awful. Because it was all soot. God. What a mess. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess. I spilled a whole damn cup of coffee. Whole friggin' thing. I am not awake enough for that crap. Lancaster is where Edwards Air Force Base is. I'm just waiting for the chat to catch up. I'm way behind.
Johnson & Johnson took data out of context with respect to their branded opioids.
Hey, Streamlabs even think Chuck. Stand up, Chuck. Remember the old stand up Chuck thing? Thanks for posting the contest link, Alex. Do. Mom, you don't need to win it. You're going to be in town in like 2 weeks. You're going to have Black Rifle coffee coming out the wazoo. I've got so many bags of it. I have 5 bags of it at home right now.
Weather sponsored by
Cool off from the summer heat. Covet for crisp salads and fresh fruit plates.
There we go. Finally caught up. Hey, and Chuck's on the video too. No, it is not God's way of saying I had enough coffee. That's bullcrap because you can never have too much coffee.
So what you anything with 30.
Bull! Not coffee. Coffee makes you stronger. If our bladders would allow it, we could be immortal just by drinking coffee. By the way, don't tread on me. You're a sticker guy. Have that American flag with the "Don't tread on me" thing from China. Stop bashing coffee, you tea lover.
I do like tea.
Of course you do, red coat.
I don't like coffee. It does not taste good.
Friggin' British spy is what you are. Coffee doesn't... You can't say that coffee doesn't taste good. That's like saying beer or wine doesn't taste good. You know how many varieties there are? And they all taste different.
All the coffee I've had is not good.
Folgers, Maxwell House. Have you had real coffee?
I don't know.
Have you even tried to have real coffee? You need Mishawaka, who will be making my custom and exclusive special blend of coffee that you can only get here. What? You drink energy drinks.
Not as often anymore. I haven't had it.
That's 4 times as much as a cup of coffee.
Exactly. I'm getting more caffeine per serving.
Depends on the coffee you're getting.
On average.
It depends on the coffee you're getting.
On average.
I can fix that for you. If you really want super caffeinated coffee, I'll give you caffeinated as fuck. Because that is an actual blend.
I'm sure.
And then all you have to do is double the strength of it and make it the same size as an energy drink. You're going to love it. And you won't be all bloated. Take care, Blue.
Yeah, but they don't have heartburn. Is that really...
Oh my God, you're one of them heartburn conspiracy theorists.
Isn't that...
No!
Isn't that just the worst trade, Casey?
No! Okay, when I went on carnivore, my heartburn went away. I thought the coffee was causing the heartburn. It wasn't. It turns out it was plants. Hey, plants went away, heartburn went away. That's all I'm saying.
Correlation does not equal causation.
When I have fruits and veggies on my cheat days, that's so weird to say, fruits and veggies on your cheat days. When I have fruits and veggies on my cheat days, my heartburn comes back.
Correlation does not equal causation.
Bullshit.
That's exactly
Bullshit.
true. Correlation does
Bullshit.
not equal causation.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to forhims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
All right. Oh, wait. No, I got to use...
Call it socialized medicine. The liberals...
Socialized medicine.
See, I have an eye twitch because I don't have coffee.
Probably because you've had to...
No, because I don't have coffee, I have an eye twitch. Had I completed that cup of coffee, I didn't have any eye twitch when the coffee was here. The eye twitch showed up when the coffee went away. I committed suicide all over my desk. Well, I mean, theoretically, I did push it.
It wasn't theoretically.
But not
I saw your hand.
purposefully.
So manslaughter.
Theoretically.
Manslaughter. So still a felony, and you still go to jail.
Please. It's just coffee.
Jackie Walorski to oppose the liberal socialist plan for your prescription drug benefits. Paid for by the
What a depressing
Finding
day.
great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle.
Yeah, now I have energy. I'm pissed off. I want my damn coffee back. You don't understand. That was literally my last bit of coffee grounds in the damn studio. So not only did I lose a whole cup of coffee, but it was the last of the Liberty blend of Black Rifle coffee that I had. The only other bags of coffee that I have in there, I'm giving to all of you for some reason. Okay. What if the second place winner the second winner of the Black Rifle Coffee giveaway gets an open, lightly used bag.
No.
With my business card inside.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that house. Casey, I live next to a Michigan State police trooper. He doesn't wear his sidearm while working around his house. Maybe at home in Michigan, he can be unarmed. Well, yeah, he's at home. I mean, at home, you can take it off. So, like, you know, you want to drop a massive deuce in the toilet, you don't have to wear your gun. If you want to take a shower after said deuce, you don't have to wear your gun. So I suppose if you're in the swimming pool or running through the sprinklers with the kids or whatnot, you don't have the gun on. But the gun is within arm's reach. That's I'm talking about going out and about. I get what you're trying to say. All right. What do we have? Oh, Niles City Council. Always forget that I still have to cover Michigan now that I don't live there. Niles City Council is moving towards a vote on allowing adult use marijuana businesses. I told you it's going to... Here's the thing. What does Niles have economically? Besides farming? Nothing. So what does Niles need for revenue? The marijuana. So Niles has to do this. Now, they may not want to, okay, but they're going to have to do this. So Niles City Council is poised to move toward voting again on allowing adult use or recreational marijuana businesses. First readings of two measures related to the businesses are on the agenda for Monday night's meeting. That's tonight. The council potentially could vote on the measures September 9th. Council will be considering an opt-in ordinance as well as zoning ordinance amendments to allow for the establishments. And there are a couple that have already positioned themselves in Niles. At least one is on 11th Street. So they got in on this thing, and I've actually, I quite like said, you're just positioning yourself right there in the main thoroughfare, just for when this recreational thing kind of moves. And they kind of jokingly said, yeah, that's the idea. Which, smart business, by the way. The council voted to opt out of allowing adult use marijuana businesses last November after Michigan voters approved legalizing marijuana. Now, again, that was simply temporary. There's a bunch of people really upset about that. I had to calm them down, relax. It's just a temporary thing. They were waiting for state guidance on how this is going to be done. Remember, the state hadn't even put in place the provisions, if you will, the steps, the rules on how this could be established. So the council was essentially saying, we're not going to allow it until the state tells us how it has to be done. So once the state did that, they can now move forward and they have a process of how to do this. Council members portrayed the opt-out as a temporary measure until state rules became clear. I just told you that. The state this summer issued its proposed rules for adult use businesses and plans to begin taking applications this fall, which we gave you an update about. And I said, look for Niles to now pass this thing. Rules are similar to those regulating medical marijuana commercial establishments, which will be given initial preference by the state for adult use licenses. In other words, if you already have a medical license for marijuana distribution, you are going to be first in line for recreational distribution, which makes sense. They already know the business. They're already involved in the business. They've already shown a good track record. They already know how this works. So that would make sense that they would be the first ones to get this. Some license types unique for adult use marijuana include temporary marijuana event. Hey now. You know how we have the beer thing every year? Actually, we got a couple of beer things. So we have the beer, we got the beer show, and then we got the one at the zoo. I'm just saying, there could be a whole host of interesting things happening in Niles, Michigan coming up. What if they merged this with the Ice Festival? Because the Niles Ice Festival is really awesome, by the way. If you haven't done it, you should. It's probably the coolest one around, at least nearby around. It could allow public consumption and sales in designated spots, designated consumption establishments, which would allow consumption in licensed locations including potentially at adult use retail shops and micro businesses, which would allow for cultivation of 150 marijuana plants, processing, and sale at one location. Now, this is going to be big for those of you who live on the Indiana side of things, because, again, if you live in Indiana, do not go to Michigan, pick up some marijuana, and bring it back to Indiana. You're going to get busted. I've already talked with several police chiefs on how they are going to enforce that. I assure you, it's not going to be fun if you get caught with this. But Michigan's not stupid. Michigan knows that it borders other states that don't allow recreational use, and they don't want to deal with trafficking and that sort of stuff. So why not just allow somebody to come and visit and partake at the establishment for which they buy? Makes perfect sense. So if you want to go ahead and go to Michigan and enjoy your afternoon, maybe have some edibles or, smoke or whatever you're going to do, however you're going to consume this thing, you can do it at an establishment that will allow you to do that. And then your designated driver can get you home. Drafts of Niles' proposed opt-in ordinance and zoning amendments can be found on the city's website at nilesmi.org. It's not .gov because apparently they're an organization. I don't know why, but go figure. Under departments, go to community development, then go to marijuana program, which is misspelled in the South Bend Tribune article. Yay. Marijuana. No J. H. Way to go, editor. But it's now, here's the thing, okay? Why would you? This is my I just spilled my coffee all over the board diatribe here. If you're going to link to the ordinances on the Tribune's article, why not link directly to the ordinances in the article? Why would you link to the main Niles, Michigan website and then explain in step-by-step fashion what to do on the website to get to the ordinances? Just have the link go directly to the ordinances. Mary Beth Spalding. I don't know anything about her. My assumption is never mind. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Juana. Juana. Niles is going to be rich. Filthy, stupid, rich.
Rain showers continue the forecast through early Tuesday. Then we're back to fair weather to head into Labor Day.
Gonna need some more cops, man. Elkhart and South Bend are gonna need more cops just to patrol the streets. Niles, ice, and fire it up. Wait a minute, what? Casey, for some reason, the city of Niles spells marijuana with an H in all of their documents.
Michiana's news channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
No.
Hi.
I don't believe you.
It's coming to St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in South Bend, and it's free for you to see. The wall that
I don't believe you.
more than 3 million Americans who served in the Vietnam War, and bearing the names of more than 58,000 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. The wall begins September 19th through the 22nd at St. Joseph Funeral Home and Cemetery in South Bend.
This is Casey Weed, president of Howard Bailey Financial, where our sole focus
No,
is
I don't want to take your stupid
Because
survey.
we have listeners in
We're
Michigan.
not here to just beat our chest about our experience and education. While that may be important, we're really here to discuss you and the challenges you face in retirement.
Really?
You are unique.
Really?
And we're willing to put
Really?
in the time and effort to ensure you receive a plan.
Somebody's
that's
bitching
tailored
about me
just
talking
for
about
you.
Michigan stories.
Call today for a free consultation to discuss how prepared you are to handle retirement
Really?
goals like inflation.
He's like, why is he talking about this? I'm like, because we have Michigan.
Let's get to work right now to get
It's
you
a
on the
story.
road to financial confidence. 866-482-9559. We're here to talk about you.
Okay, so go to community developments, then marijuana. Okay, community developments. Oh my God, the Niles website spells it with an H2. So that's why the Tribune did it.
Because that's how it's spelled. So we need to blame the Niles website.
Yeah, well, somebody said that Niles lists marijuana with an H on all of their... I don't understand. What am I missing? All of the stuff on their website is spelled with an H. Why is marijuana spelled with an H?
Because they're idiots, Casey.
No, why is marijuana spelled with an H?
We could go ask our Alexa unit in the office.
Apparently, both are considered acceptable.
Really?
Michigan.gov has a question. Why are you spelling marijuana with an H? And Michigan says both spellings, marijuana and marijuana, are acceptable. To avoid confusion, many in the industry refer to the botanical plant cannabis. The spelling of marijuana has a long history in the United States. Michigan's history primarily starts with the spelling that was chosen for the Marijuana Act in 1937. They're trying to be woke. They're trying to avoid the controversy of racism with the original marijuana. I apologize to the South Bend Tribune. Michigan chooses to spell it with a damn H. Because they're trying to be woke.
But Casey,
Okay.
why are we talking about it?
I don't know. There's like 2 people in Niles, right?
It's not like every state around us.
There's a Washington Post article from 2016 that says marijuana or marijuana. It's all weed to the DEA.
All right, I've got to apologize to the South Bend Tribune. They were just quoting what it was on the Niles government website. Apparently, all of Michigan in the official government documents spells marijuana with an H, which, again, almost nobody does. I went back, and Michigan has been using H because they're hearkening back to the Medical Marijuana Act of 1937, where it first appeared. And I think it is their way to avoid the social justice racism accusation of marijuana. Because remember, people are saying it's called marijuana in order to be offensive to Mexicans. So it's both are technically considered acceptable, even though nobody uses the H, except for Michigan and apparently a couple of other people. There was an article in 2016, marijuana or marijuana, it's all weed to the DEA. So Michigan is apparently trying to stay woke on this. Okay, there you go. They didn't even do the cannabis thing. They just did the marijuana. So I apologize to the South Bend Tribune. They didn't get it wrong. They didn't misspell. They were telling us that marijuana on the government websites in Niles, that is how it is listed. So get used to all Michigan reference to marijuana being spelled with an H, ladies and gentlemen. 574-25-95-95-3. That is 25-95-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So we have some news about It's Not News at CNN. Maybe tomorrow if I have time. I did a lot of blogging about it today. I will get into the media having a conniption fit about conservatives digging up their old racist posts. You know, like what journalists at the New York Times and CNN have been doing with everybody else. And now they're really mad that people are doing that because we had this editor over at the New York Times who said a bunch of racist and anti-Semitic things just a few years ago. They haven't been fired, by the way. They've been demoted, but they haven't been fired. Now, that would not work if a conservative had been caught doing that, but I digress. So CNN recently hired Andrew McCabe. Now, this is problematic for multiple reasons. First of all, Andrew McCabe is a liar, and Andrew McCabe is a guy who may go to prison. Now, he's a former assistant director and then acting director of the FBI. He served under James Comey. Andrew McCabe is also directly involved with the conspiracy against President Trump with this whole fake Russia thing. Now, the reason that this is important is that he's working for CNN, and he does not have a good reputation. The FBI fired him for being dishonest. Okay? So what's a news agency to do? Well, you hire the guy who was fired by the government for being dishonest, of course. Why wouldn't you? Well, new report is out saying that the feds are close to deciding whether or not they're going to indict Andrew McCabe. So CNN didn't even wait until after he was cleared of indictment. It's not news, it's CNN. The Justice Department is close to deciding whether to indict Andrew McCabe, the former FBI deputy director and newly minted CNN analyst, on charges of lying to the FBI during a media leak investigation. And again, multiple departments of the FBI said this guy has to go. We need him gone a couple of years before his retirement date, so he has to wait to get his retirement benefits. He's not been denied his retirement benefits. He has to wait to get them. All of you idiots who donated to him. By the way, he's valued at over $1 million. He's a millionaire. Anyway, McCabe's attorneys met twice last week with Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen regarding the investigation. According to the New York Times, the 21-year FBI veteran was fired on March 16, 2018, after the Bureau's Office of Professional Responsibility and Justice Department Inspector General determined that he displayed a, quote, lack of candor at least 4 times in interviews about his authorization of leaks to the media in October of 2016. This is no relation to his direct involvement in the conspiracy against the president, okay? This is just him doing all of the media leaks and everything else, which were illegal. The Inspector General referred McCabe to the Justice Department for prosecution. The case is being handled by prosecutors in Washington, D.C. McCabe sued the Justice Department and the FBI over his firing on August 8th. McCabe has claimed that he did not lie to the FBI. He also claims that he was fired due to political pressure from President Donald Trump. There is no evidence of that whatsoever. CNN hired McCabe as a law enforcement analyst on Friday. A case against McCabe could face some headwinds, according to the Times report. A grand jury witness in the investigation has provided testimony that could undermine the government's case, according to the newspaper. But again, they are close to deciding whether or not he will actually be indicted. He was arraigned on January 24, 2017, interview between FBI agents and then security advisor Michael Flynn. Flynn then pled guilty to the special counsel investigation to lying to the agents regarding his conversation a month earlier with then Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak, which, of course, was of no consequence anyway. It was just a standard meeting. But, yeah, this is pretty interesting to see what's happening. So, again, the New York Times is saying that this may not actually go in the government's favor, but they're close to making a decision about whether or not to indict him. And this all has, again, nothing to do with the new emails that we have about him being a part of the conspiracy against the president. That's all in addition to the stuff that he was fired over and may have broken the law with. So we'll see how this plays out. But wouldn't it be interesting if CNN did hire the guy and then, of course, he was indicted on this thing? That'd be an awful stain on CNN's image, wouldn't it? Anyway, Hannity's up next. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith.
For some of you on being able to manually add names and things like that to the credits, because I would love to be able to do that. However, they do not have that feature. It is one of the most requested features, by the way, of Streamlabs OBS to be able to do that, and they may or may not be working on it. So I'm just letting you know a bunch of people want to do the same thing, and a lot of people said pretty much what I said. You'd be able to take a Patreon list and put all of your subscribers into the credits instead of having to manually do it. That would be nice if they would allow us to do that. So there you go. All right. Any last minute questions? Excuse me, comments, what have you, while I finish up my show prep.
Your top stories right now.
Hey, no problem, Chuck. Thank you for what you do, man. I wish that my support of law enforcement would help me out in St. Joseph County because I actually got a ticket. I usually take County Road 6 down, and it's 50 and 55 miles an hour. And this was a road that was like 2 miles east of it. Same direction, though. Like 35.
I'll do it.
And I was distracted talking to my kid. And I was doing the normal speed that I normally do down there. I'm like, oh, do, and he pulled me over. And I'm like, what the hell? So
I know who you are.
He didn't pull that, but he was having a very long conversation on the radio, I think. And they probably came to the determination that I was going so much over the speed limit that it wasn't okay to let me go. That's what I assumed. But he never said that he knew who I was.
Supply chains and its economic stability is beginning to waver just a little bit. Markets in Asia were way down early.
Every time I've been pulled over for speeding here, other than that one, it's because the speed limit is wrong.
Tough policies, and China is finally waking up to see that it has to do things differently.
Sorry, 30-mile-an-hour speed limit in a commercial zone is dumb. That's on them. That's not on me.
It's like Ireland, which is 45, and everyone drives at 50 down.
Yeah.
55, 60.
Well, and then you have, like where it's 11th Street and then turns into, whatever. Like all of a sudden it drops down to 35, like right there by the college. And it's like out of nowhere. What the hell are you doing? 35 miles an hour.
It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance. Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points.
Yeah, CBD is legal in Indiana.
Yes.
Yeah, you can have CBD.
Everyone and its mothers.
Dude, Family Video sells it.
Exactly. My point.
Like, literally. I don't go into Family Video, but they have a sign.
I go to Family Video to buy my.
Yeah, they have a sign. I'm sure it's quality
Support
stuff.
small business.
I'm sure it's quality stuff. Yeah.
Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions.
I'm still waiting for the friggin' chat to catch up. So, who gave me the ticket? It was St. Joseph County. I don't know the officer's name, but he was very polite. He was very nice, and I pulled over before he even lit me up because I happened to see the sign, like right when he hit me. He was like right at a sign. So I mean, and I'm not asking for it. I mean, it's thank you, Al, but no, it was speeding, like I said, but the speed limit, it was just one of those things where I was talking with my daughter, and I take that drive every single day, and because it's the same direction, I just assumed that the speed limit would be the same as County Road 6 that I'm on for some reason. I just wasn't paying attention. That's all.
Tonight or tomorrow, but is not expected to threaten the U.S. Also in the Atlantic, tropical storm Dorian, which is closing in on the Lesser Antilles.
The system is expected to then move towards.
All right. Well, I am going to bounce out. So, wanted to thank all of you. Don't forget to register for your Black Rifle coffee. Okay, I've got those 2 bags tomorrow, and then I'm going to do the drawing on the 8th. And it's totally up to the system. So there'll be 2 winners. They'll be able to get the bags. I'm hoping that you'll be able to pick them up here while I'm on vacation. If somebody needs it shipped, just let me know. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've heard things about Akron. I mean, B-dubs, I would always check, but it shouldn't react with your medication. I would always check just to be safe, but CBD should not have an effect with your medication. You should be okay. Yeah, exactly. It's up to the system, Alex. There's a reason I use Gleam. It takes all of the blame away from me. All right. I got to bounce, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again. You have a wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.